You say we want freedom, we want power to determine the destiny of our black community. Full employment for our people. Number 3, we want housing fit, decent housing fit for shelter of human beings. Number 4, we want all black men to be exempt from military service. Number 5, we want decent education for our black people in our community that teaches us the true nature of this decadent racist society, and to teach black people and our young black brothers and sisters their place in the society, because if they don't know their place in society and in the world, they can't relate to anything else. Number 6, we want an end to the robbery by the white racist businessmen of black people and black people in their communities. Number 7, we want an immediate end to police brutality and murder of black people. Number 8, we want all black men held in county, state, federal jails and prisons to be released because they have not had a fair trial, because they've been tried by all white juries, and that's just like being tried in Germany being a Jew. Number 8, we want black people, number 9, when brought to trial, will be tried by members of their peers. And a peer being one who comes from the same economic, social, religious, historical, and racial background. If the United States government and the courts and the local courts did this, they would have to choose black people from the black community to sit up on the jury. They'd have to choose some of the mothers who've been working 20 years in Miss Ann's kitchen scrubbing floors like my mother done done. They have to choose some of them hard-working fathers. They have to choose some of those brothers who stand on the block out there wondering where they're going to get a gig. They're going to have to choose these black people. And number 10, he would say, let's just summarize it. We want housing, we want clothing, we want education, we want justice, and we want peace. This is a basic platform. In case you never knew it or not, of all the things that you've heard in the press, of all the derogatory statements that's been made in the press about Brother Huey P. Newton and I, of all these derogatory statements to guide you away from seeing this basic platform that Huey was talking about for his own people. Now, out of this platform, Huey P. Newton realized that it was necessary for us to start working on these points, these 10 points, practically. Remember number 7?
We want an immediate end to the police brutality and mob attacks against the so-called Negroes throughout the United States. We believe that the federal government should intercede to see that black men and women tried in white courts receive justice in accordance with the law of the land, or allow us to build a new nation for ourselves, dedicated to justice, freedom, and liberty. We do not believe that after 400 years of free labor, sweat, and blood, which has helped America become rich and powerful, that so many thousands of black people should have to exist on relief, charity, or live in poorhouses. We want the government of the United States to exempt our people from all taxation, as long as we are deprived of equal justice under the laws of the land. And this is a fact. Why should you be taxed when you don't get anything in return? How can you be charged the same tax as the white man when you don't enjoy the same rights as the white man, or the same citizenship as the white man, or the same protection by the law as the white man? What do you look like riding in the coach on the train, second class, and paying full Pullman fare, while the conductor is out of his mind to make you pay as much as in the coach as they're paying in the collar car? So if you don't pay first class passage for a second class seat, you have no business in a government as a second class citizen paying first class taxes. The government of the United States should exempt our people from all taxation as long as we are deprived of equal justice under the laws of the land. We believe that intermarriage or race mixing should be prohibited, and it should. We are against intermarriage. We don't want to see any black man with any white woman, and no white man with a black woman. Let's Let the white man have his white woman and let the black man have his black woman. And when you find these black women running around here sneaking around with white men, catch them, straighten her out. I should say straighten her up and straighten him out.
What is good, my people? We are live back again with another live broadcast on the forecast. What's going on, Oni, my brother? My brother Guy, what's going on? Amani Mangu, my brother Bakari, Amani, Revolutionary Matron, The Learning Curve. I appreciate y'all for coming in here today. Um, I didn't want to be on here too late, but I didn't really have time to get it organized like I wanted to. So that's why I put part one on there, you know what I'm saying? But I do wanted to go through some things real quick. And it's a conversation that, we need to have. But I don't plan on being on here late today. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the link in the chat if somebody wanna come on. And we're gonna get right into it though. Now, y'all kind of get the gist of what I mean by the 1/16th law, you know what I'm saying, as we go through this. And listen, I'm gonna tell you off the top, you know what I'm saying? I understand what people say about reparations and somebody giving it to us. Nobody's gonna give you anything. You have to take it. But I'm of the mindset of you are going to pay what you owe. What you did is not going to, you're going to pay for that. You know what I'm saying? That, like, now there may be a time where we have to do what we have to do to force them to pay, you know what I'm saying? And whatever the payment may be, as we're going to get into, but you going to pay for what you have done. That isn't like, no, it's not going to slide or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So I'm definitely telling you, you know what I'm saying? I'm definitely there definitely will be reparations, whether it be now or 100 years from now, whatever, you know what I'm saying? I'm telling you right now that it's going to happen, you know what I'm saying? And I got faith in the people, if nobody else do. So let me show y'all something real quick why, and this is like, y'all gotta work with me here. Like I said, I wasn't able to organize it as much as I wanted to. I'm gonna have to do this when I got more time. But let me show y'all this, you know what I'm saying? Because hope I get the right thing here. All right, this is why we talking about it. So now New York just, and this happened a couple weeks ago, but stuff happens and other stuff to talk about. But so New York provides support for Holocaust survivors. This is a form of, reparations that they're giving them. You know what I'm saying? So let me play this.
To see so many people out.
A midweek summer barbecue beaming with smiling Queens residents. A way to honor these men and women who once endured the unimaginable.
I was a young girl. They took away everything from us because we were Jews.
Originally from Romania, Judith Wolberg moved to New York in 1940.
Now listen, I'm sorry, y'all, but like, I wonder if anybody's telling her, "Oh, don't say that I did this because you're this." You know what I'm saying? Now, it's different for us, you know what I'm saying? Like, we have to respond, you know what I'm saying? The things that happen has happened, you know what I'm saying? And we all we got. So we have to respond with, as a group, as a collective, with just the critical mass enough. Not everybody, but just enough to where,
After her liberation from Auschwitz concentration camp and the Nazis. Judith attended Wednesday's barbecue at the Tenenbaum family pool alongside dozens of Holocaust survivors. Despite New York having the largest Jewish population outside of Israel, Governor Hochul says a rise in anti-Semitism, white supremacy, and online radicalization means more needs to be done to support the remaining survivors of the genocide of 6 million Jews.
now, do you hear this? Okay, right? Because we were just talking about this the other day, and I know this is low. Let me turn it up. I did. We was just talking about this the other day. You know what I'm saying? The 38,000 and all of that. And this is their response, and this is our government. Well, our government, all of those things, government response to the uptick and rise of white. Well, and that's crazy because they're white too. You know what I'm saying? Jewish is a religion, and I would tell you this, you know what I'm saying? If it wasn't for y'all, I wouldn't know the difference between a white Jew and a Anglo-Saxon and a whatever, a dramatic, whatever. I'll be real. Y'all tell me the difference because to me, I see the same thing. It's all the same. But, this is the response for them.
Semitism, white supremacy, and online radicalization means more needs to be done to support the remaining survivors of the genocide of 6 million Jews.
We're going to continue standing with our Jewish brothers and sisters because we know what happens when people turn a blind eye, when people ignore the facts, as happened back in the 1940s.
So
we know what happened when people turn a blind eye and ignore the facts of what happened over and over and over again, and then try to tell you something that happened didn't happen, and this is fake and that is fake. It's crazy, psychopathic or idiotic to things that we know that is fake. Like, we know Christopher Columbus did not come here. But do you think Italians on Columbus Day is going to be like, well, I know they didn't come here, so we're going to go roll with Indigenous Day? No, they're trying to say, you're taking away my damn heritage, right? They're going to roll with whatever the story is. We discovered the New World with millions of people already there.
Blind eye when people ignore the facts, as happened back in the 1940s.
So history doesn't repeat itself. Governor Hochul signed legislation at the Jewish Heritage Museum in Lower Manhattan Wednesday to help ensure schools are providing high-quality Holocaust education.
Okay, so while they critical race, hold on, time out. Critical race theory is banned in New York, isn't it? All right, so they ensure schools are providing Holocaust education, right? Funded by us, okay?
Require museums to acknowledge art stolen by the Nazi regime. And
oh my goodness, requires museums to acknowledge. And by the way, while a lot of y'all got y'all tears out there, won't even acknowledge the jewels and stuff that was stolen from you. Right now, you're paying for somebody to, and it's ironic, a museum. We're paying for a museum to acknowledge art stolen by the Nazi. And that's crazy because it's probably arts that they stole from somebody else that stole it from us. You know what I'm saying? They probably shysted somebody else and got kicked out of their country, right? And then got kicked out of another country and ended up here. And now they are requiring museums to acknowledge what they have stolen throughout history. It's interesting.
And to require the State Department of Financial Services to publish a list of financial institutions that voluntarily waive fees for Holocaust reparation payments.
Wow. So publish a list of financial institutions that waive fees for reparations payments. All right. So first of all, there's financial institutions that waive fees for reparations payments. Did any of us know that? I didn't know that. Right. But also publish this list. We just try and publish a list of Black businesses here, but they want that's already done and good for them. Is an institution that waives fees for reparations payments.
I believe we need all that very, very seriously.
I like it. Somebody remember us.
The guests of honor are living in the moment, appreciative of the present, unable to forget their painful past, and hopeful for the future.
It shouldn't happen again. It's a lesson.
We need to educate that it should never happen again.
Man, the greatest Holocaust, according to the first Black president, right? What's up, Tanzan? What up, Jermaine? According to the first Black president, the greatest atrocity that's ever happened. But in the words of a sister that I once saw, ours was not filmed, But even though it's on film right now and it's still going. Learning Curve said, we don't currently have any power. They don't listen to black people because they don't have to listen to black people. Damn. The black people that could make a difference don't care. That's pretty interesting. My brother Guy said, what is the Jewish Holocaust? What about the Christian Holocaust or the Muslim Holocaust or the white boy Holocaust? You know what I'm saying? I mean, the Holocaust that happened in South Carolina at a church, but oh yeah, I forgot. We forgave that, you know. All right. Also, and this happened within the last like month or so. You know what I'm saying? So and this is under a form of like reparations. Like when you look it up, you know what I'm saying? That's what you're gonna find. That's the latest thing. But also, what's just interesting is this. Let me show y'all this one. All right, so Senate passed a bill allowing camp whatever residents to seek reparations for toxic exposure. All right. So a Marine Corps base in North Carolina seeking reparations from the government for exposure to contaminated water. That's interesting. President Joe Biden is expected to sign a bill into law next week. The U.S. government has acknowledged a link between toxic drinking water at a base and a variety of serious illnesses and, you know, stuff like, what is it, tapeworms and all of this stuff, you know, all of the diseases that comes with your stuff coming out the sink. But, you know, so who lived there between 1953 and 1987. Imagine 1953 through 2022. Said up to now they were unable to sue thanks to a law in North Carolina limiting judicial claims against polluters like the base. So for a long, long time, they forbid it. And yo, that's one thing I did forget. But let me play this video.
She asked, please let me go. And so she passed away about an hour and a half later.
That man's wife, one of dozens of veterans exposed to toxic water at a military base. Even after her death, he is fighting for justice. Now he may get what he deserves.
The recently passed PACT Act, which includes the Camp Lejeune Justice Act, now ensures veterans and their families exposed to toxins on base can receive high-quality health care and benefits and seek compensation for injuries. All Your Side's Taylor Levesque is joining us live with details about how a local law firm is prepared to represent those victims, Taylor, to ensure they get what they deserve.
Yeah, the law firm Farah & Farah says it's in the process of taking in new clients who wish to file claims for the harm caused by the exposure to toxic water. The law firm says it doesn't just only affect military personnel, but also their families. And one local Jacksonville veteran says his wife was a victim.
In June of 1984, my first wife, I had oral surgery, and because of the oral surgery,
and I think the Loudoun County water crisis was going on for like 20 years in June of 1984, I think, pretty much.
Had to do a biopsy on a piece of nodule that they took out of her mouth.
Blah, blah, blah.
Retired Marine Colonel Len Loving says he and his wife lived on base when she died of leukemia at just 45 years old. This was during the time when more than 1 million people were exposed to contaminants in the base's water supply.
She quietly whispered in my ear, please let me go.
How healthy she was. So he turned to Farah & Farah to file a claim for financial compensation.
You'll have 2 years to file a lawsuit in the federal courts in North Carolina.
Attorney Nicholas.
Now, I don't know if how sick people are, or people are getting sick in our counties and stuff, but if there is some legal stuff you could do, you know, if you want to take that road, you know what I'm saying? You might want to get, because you see here in North Carolina, there's a limitation. 2 years that you have to apply and all that stuff. So you might want to find out if there's something you could do in the time limitation, which is crazy because it's still going on. But, You know, they're talking about 1984, and we're talking about right now.
The federal courts in North Carolina.
Attorney Nicholas LaFoundation says the law firm will need to collect documents to make sure qualifications are met before a claim is filed.
What we're looking for is whether they were stationed at the base, whether they lived on base or not, or they were a civilian worker at the base or families of that, and they were there for at least 30 days. They have to have one of the qualifying diseases or cancers, including esophageal cancer, leukemia, bladder cancers, and things of that nature. Additionally, you have to have been stationed or working on that base between August 1st of 1953 and December 31st of 1987.
All right, so they probably can. I'm not sure though, Tanzan. That's what I'm saying. Like, that was an interesting point, you know. And she said, can the residents of Lawrence seek legal action? And you know, but the Department of Justice says there's no crazy stuff going on, even though other communities we see here are entitled to reparations for something that's not even as crazy as that, you know. So like I said, I don't know. But that's just some of the things, you know, when it comes to reparations. Yo, what's going on, MG2? And like I said, I wasn't able to prepare this show the way I wanted to, and y'all can come on here and get into it. I'm not going to be on here super long, but let me see. All right, so you know, I just wanted to show y'all that because we know that, you know, if they wanted to do something, they can, you know, they can do something for water where the people from 100 years ago and some white bitch died, you know, they seek reparations, you know what I'm saying? And it's okay to say you was a victim. A crime is a crime. And somebody committed a crime against you. And we're paying for new Holocaust education programs and museums to make sure the artifacts that they stole is paid for. You know what I'm saying? This is a part of everybody's ongoing package that they build off of our stuff. Yo, MG2. I mean, this is just a good time, and it's the 116th law. But while speaking of that, you know, and my brother, Koku made a great point. You know what I'm saying? The bitch lived 70 something years now, like, or she was in charge for 75 years, however damn long. And she died of natural causes peacefully in her bed. You know what I'm saying? And I feel my brother Koku when he says, you know, this is something that's hard to say to celebrate on. You know what I'm saying? Because this doesn't count towards the 116th law. So, you know, speaking of that, and we're going to do it a little bit differently than my brother had it. So let me show you this here. All right, so speaking of this, you know what I'm saying? This is kind of where this idea comes from, because I've heard many people say this, you know, and I'm pretty sure y'all already know this dude, Pat, what's his name? Pat Buchanan, you know, but I'm gonna play this because I've heard this argument a lot, you know.
Like
he said he was taking another long look at reparations.
Oh my, Pat, tell me now, David Brooks, who is perhaps the least accurate commentator on the political scene, right next to Bill Kristol, who's still campaigning for Lamar Alexander for president, I think. So David Brooks writes a column today in the New York Times. A friend of mine sent it to me. He's changed his mind. He used to be against reparations, and now he sees the benefit of a reparations program, Pat. What would that do? Would reparations really work to heal the racial divide in the United States, Pat, or would it maybe just add to the resentment that's already out there?
Well, you take people, and we talked about the folks who came here and from 1890 to 1920, all Eastern Europeans and all the others, they had nothing to do with slavery. I mean, you had.
Now he said Eastern Europeans, those thugs, when they came here, they quote unquote had nothing to do with slavery. But we're going to examine their role in this whole thing here, and their bid for Anglo-Saxonness.
In the whole period of slavery, I think you had 600,000 people brought to the United States under involuntary servitude or slavery, and 620,000 died in the Civil War, Americans.
Wait, let's do those numbers again here.
With slavery, I mean, you had in the whole period of slavery, I think you had 600,000 people brought to the United States under involuntary servitude or slavery, and 620,000 died in the Civil War, Americans. So the expiation, I think, was done, But I will say this, I mean, the whole idea of this will just rip the country apart. But before it does that, if the Democrats come out for reparations, I think they will lose the country in the next election to Trump handily.
Yeah, well, I think they're definitely moving toward that. I mean, I think every candidate, Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, I think they've all either basically said they're in favor of it or they're seriously consider it.
What form is it going to take?
It's like milk.
Who is going to pay it? Who is supposed to pay the reparations? People whose ancestors had no role in this? Who is determined exactly who was a slave? Or are we going to do the
DNA testing?
We're going to do the Elizabeth Warren DNA test. What's going on here?
Oh my gosh! Well, I've got to say, yeah, I don't know.
Ancestry.com stock, get it?
Yeah, it's a. Don't worry, China will buy that company. Then they'll have all our information, Pat.
All right. Shut up and dribble, bitch. All right, but before we go on, this is the dude. I want you to see his face because they didn't have his face, and this is what he said.
Greater difficulty in assimilating people from different civilizations and cultures and ethnicities and races in the United States than other folks. And we know this is true. African Americans have been here since 1619. They've helped build and create the nation. They're part of its culture and history, and yet we haven't fully assimilated African American citizens.
Okay, so now. Okay, let me stop real quick. Yo, what up, Harsh Reality Podcast? What up, Bitter Medicine Podcast? Yeah, it is what it is, though. They all should be choked out. But they're making a great point, though. He made a great point. The white boy made a great point. And like I said, before we get to his point, though, let me show you this, though. Right, when it comes to the reparation thing, I showed you what's going on now and how the Jews are getting more reparations. Obama went over there and okay, so reparations would cost trillions and are unconstitutional, and of course they got our face there. Yeah, blah 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 blah. Yeah. All right, so y'all can read that if y'all want to, but like I was saying. So y'all remember Obama was the one who went over to Israel and offered them U.S. reparations, millions of dollars, even though, America was the one helping them. But the quote unquote first black president went over to Israel and said how this Holocaust was the greatest tragedy that's ever happened and we need to have reparations. But I don't know if y'all remember before he became president, and I will say this, I didn't vote for Barack Obama the first time, and maybe I should have for the culture, but I didn't. I've never voted for the president, and this was the first election that I was able to vote in, but I didn't vote for president. But when asked about reparations, this is what he said.
Senator Obama, your position on reparations?
I think the reparations we need right here in South Carolina is investment, for example, in our schools. I did a town hall meeting in Florence, South Carolina, in an area called the Corridor of Shame. They've got buildings that students are trying to learn in.
Education for all kids is reparations for slavery.
Built right after the Civil War, and we've got teachers who are not trained to teach the subjects they're teaching in, high dropout rates. We've got to understand that there are corridors of shame all across the country. And if we make the investments and understand that those are our children, that's the kind of reparations that are really going to make a difference in America right now.
Is anyone on the stage for reparations for slavery for African Americans? Are you?
I am. The Bible says we shall be and must be repairers of the breach. And a breach has occurred, and we have to acknowledge that.
And he spooked
It's a
out.
breach that has resulted in inequality in opportunities for education, for healthcare, for housing, for employment. And so we must be mindful of that. But it's also a breach that has affected a lot of poor whites as well. We need to have a country which recognizes that there is an inequality of opportunity, and a president who's ready to challenge the interest groups, be they insurance companies or mortgage companies or defense contractors who are taking the money away from the people who need it. Yes, I am for repairing the breach. Yes, I am for reparations.
Our next question.
We expressed in the run-up to this conference our concerns that if you adopted all the language from 2001, that's just not something we could sign up for.
But the UN claims the boycotting countries had already.
All right. So after that, last year, a year and a half ago, after your boy is left office, now all of a sudden, he has changed his tune, but he was like, I could not do that because white boys would have had my ass. Like how he said Trayvon would have looked like my son and the dude had to apologize, that kind of thing. Right, but Barack Obama is reparations, though.
Let's turn now to our GMA cover story here. The Obamas are speaking out about race in America. ABC's Elwin Lopez joins us from Atlanta with what the former First Family is saying about things like reparations and racial equality. Elwin, good morning.
Good morning, Whit. Former President Barack Obama now explaining why reparations for Black Americans were not on his agenda during his presidency. As Black History Month comes to a close, former first couple, Barack and Michelle Obama, are speaking out on race in America.
In America, liberty, justice, and accountability are not for all.
The ideal, this more perfect union of ours, is far from where the reality has been.
The pair appearing in two separate interviews, with the former president taking a position on the issues of reparations for Black Americans.
So if you ask me, theoretically, are reparations justified? The answer is yes. There's not much question, right?
Joining Bruce Springsteen in the latest episode of their joint podcast, Renegades Born in the USA, saying,
the power of this country was built in significant part, not exclusively, maybe not even.
Now, y'all remember when he was asked before he became president, well, schools in South Carolina for all children now, but now he's asked in 2001 we can do nothing. He got just as much power as you and me right now. Well, he might well be on here with us, well, the country was built in, we know all of this. You could just go ahead and join the discussion board now because we on the same. We on the same level now. But when you had the opportunity to at least, you was the president, who knows what would have happened, but it is what it is. At least push the boundary, then we would know, even if a Black president did this, then, whatever. But he wouldn't dare, piss them off,
Majority of it, but a large portion of it was built on the backs of slaves.
The former president reflecting on why he didn't push for reparations during his administration.
What I saw during my presidency was that.
Hold on, y'all. I just saw. Let me take this now. Yo, what up, Bakari?
What's going on, man?
Not much, my brother.
Yeah, Obama was the reparations. Obama was the reparations, man.
Yeah, but listen to what he's saying now. But hold on, let me play a little bit. Let me go back because
country was built in.
He might as well be on the channel with us right now, Bakari, because we could have this argument right now. You can have this argument with him because he got just as much power as me having this argument with you now. You know what I'm saying?
Significant part, not exclusively, maybe not even the majority of it, but a large portion of it was built on the backs of slaves.
The former president reflecting on why he didn't push for reparations during his administration.
What I saw during my presidency was that the politics of white resistance and resentment.
Forget the resentment. The politics of white resistance. The politics of white resistance. This is what they're supposed to do. But yo, it's a shame that the politics of black resistance was like not enough for them to be like, you know what, I have no other choice, you know what I'm saying? But the politics of white resistance made a mulatto president apologize for saying Trayvon Martin will look like him, even though he would, you know. But he had to apologize for saying a kid that got killed by a grown man would look like him because the politics of white resistance. Who cares if they was in it? You know what I'm saying?
All that made the prospect of actually proposing any kind of coherent, meaningful reparations program struck me as politically not only a non-starter, but potentially counterproductive.
And former First Lady Michelle Obama addresses younger generations directly, making an appearance on YouTube Originals Black History Month special.
Now, Bakari, I can say, do you agree with me? She was the most beautiful first lady in the history of first ladies.
She the only one that was black, so yeah.
Absolutely. And that makes them mad too, by the way, y'all, just so y'all know, you know.
Special Black Renaissance.
Deciding who it is you are underneath all the pressures and expectations that other folks want to put on you. It's a lot.
And calling out institutional racism in its past and present forms, sending a message that there is much work to be done.
Your generation knows all too well that those old fault lines of fear, racism, and discrimination based on the color of your skin weren't erased by a civil war or the passing of a Civil Rights Act.
Now, she could have stopped like TV and made a national declaration that said this, but she waited until like 2001, like 7 years out of office, and made a YouTube video.
Didn't they go to Harvard?
I don't know. I think he went to. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think they went to the same school. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Didn't you know what Carter G. Woodson said about Harvard and black people, right?
Yeah,
Carter G. Woodson said Harvard has done worse things to black people than a bottle of bad whiskey. Oh, that's what Carter G. Woodson say. Look how it make you.
Yeah,
but see, but a lot of black people would be proud that she said this on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? I don't hate Michelle. I try not to, but anyway, they were a waste of time. Another symbol for for black folk. They were a symbol.
Yes, symbolism is you can give a spooked out people symbolism though, you know, and that's a positive thing and a negative thing, you know what I'm saying, depending on how you can use it. It just is what it is.
Certainly not the election of a black president.
In their podcast series, the former
All right, whatever. All right, so let me stop real quick.
Hey, but you know something though, you say you can give a spooked out people symbolism, right? Shit, white people and Mexicans and Orientals, they don't accept them symbols. Them motherfuckers spooked out too. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's what they're gonna do to you. They'll spook your ass out. Yo, what's going on, Learning Curve?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Not much. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. So, okay, look. What we don't seem to understand is that these people are never going to give us reparations. We have to organize ourselves and take reparations, not violently, because most people don't have the stomach for the violence that would be needed to transfer the land they've been holding on to for 1,000 years. But the monarchy, the royal family, this queen that just died, that's a whole business. And they tell us that. And the office of the president is a whole business. They farm out to people making of the seals and printing these documents and the different paperwork that's involved and stuff like that. all like we have to get to the point where we see beyond the symbolic representations that they give us and talking about, they're recruiting more workers and more slaves. And the thinking people have to get together and say, no, we can have something different. We can have another parallel institution where we're providing jobs for our people and we're doing the things that need to be done. That's what the Koch brothers flat out said they do. They pay their employees and they have to vote a certain way. They have think tanks and institutions and organize themselves in a way to move forward with their agenda. We the ones sitting here idly, just going to a job, trying to leave our kids no inheritance, making them start from nothing every generation. So, we need to get over that.
Yeah,
But
that's a
learning curve, I'm gonna learn you something right quick. For people, remember the other day when I asked you, had you ever slaughtered a hog?
Yeah.
For people who don't have the stomach for violence, we need to go buy some hogs just to slaughter.
I agree. I
Get,
agree.
get,
I agree. I
get,
absolutely agree.
yep, get used to taking a life. To hear some, stop breathing because if we don't even try to ever attempt to reach the violence of everybody, because my thing is, it ain't just white folk for me anyway. Uh, I know what they did, but everybody was fucking involved. Everybody done got rich off this shit, right? So if we're not even attempting to try to be as violent as all of our enemies, all of them, we'll never get out of this. I'm not saying you just go jump out the gate and start doing that. Everything is organizing, everything is strategizing, right? But if it come down to it, when I showed that video the other day where their clan was like, oh, they'll just kill themselves, or they waiting for the race war. Why we ain't waiting? Why we are not getting ready for that same wall? I'm just saying the wall is already here. We just refuse to fight back. In the first fight, you could do, damn man, let's just stop giving them people our damn money. Let's control our neighborhood. Let's understand we are the greatest resource ever came into this country. Since we want resources and need resources, we are the damn resource. That's the first step. I yield, man.
All right, y'all. So before we get to the next part, and my brother MV2 came on, I'm gonna let him speak before we get to the next part. But I do gotta give the disclaimer that they do be watching my channel. They could terminate me, but they don't. They try to play games and watch me. So don't say nothing that y'all don't think. I gotta start giving this disclaimer. My brother, Time to Work, brought it to my attention last time that, and I don't want nobody to, feel like crazy stuff, so.
The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed here belong solely to the respondents.
Facts. Thank you. MG2, what's up, my brother?
Oh, all right. Peace. Hotep. I'm just, digging the conversation. As you know, yours truly is not one to bite its tongue about anything. Okay? What I say, I mean, and what I mean, I say. And many a times I do it, which is probably why, I'm constantly being monitored, for lack of a better term. And in many times, I have run-ins with their so-called legal establishment they call cops. Probably just because I don't care what I say and I do what I do. Anyways, I'm loving the conversation. It's quite remarkable at this late stage of the game. I know you guys heard about this thing happening in Florida, where that devil by the name of DeSantis, which I expect him to be what he is and do what he does. I have no problem. But he arrested all these so-called voters that were voter fraud. And apparently, he's doing what he's got to do for his own. The thing is, all of the ones he arrested were black. So it just kind of tells you, this is again, events, patterns, environment, way of life. And events become patterns, patterns become your environment, and sooner or later your environment becomes your way of life. When it comes to the so-called reparations, I was just watching this expose on Robert Mugabe, the Honorable Robert Mugabe. And they were explaining in this expose, even though it was a European-centered one, about his relationship with Britain and relationship of other countries like Mozambique, Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya. I mean, the list goes on and on. With and a lot of folks aren't really cognizant of the war that we're in against another species. I can't call them people. I just say species. A lot of us don't. We can't digest this war, so we try to rationalize it. We try to debate, and we try to demystify it and everything. No, it's bottom line. You're at war with someone else. You got to kill them. Okay, there is no ifs, ands, or buts. Folks out there got to die. If you're not willing to become a terrorist, then just be willing to become the subject or the victim of one. And say it again. If you're not willing to become a terrorist, then at least be willing to become the victim of one. Like the 21 people that got shot over at Tops grocery store in Buffalo, or the 9 that got killed over there in Charleston, South Carolina. Was it North Carolina? I keep mixing it up. If others don't know that we are in this condition, if you don't want to know it, I still love you. You're black. Your prospects for maintaining on this planet is pretty low. Your probabilities you're not going to be around unless you want to be a slave. Clearly, when it comes to the so-called reparations, I was the first one to coin this term because back in the day of outrage, when we were doing the blog talks and whatnot, I had asked this question. And it's the first time this ever came to social media, or what they call it social media. This is back in, I think, 2010 or something like that. And I had asked, I said, yes, we're owed reparations. And I asked the panel, I said, would you die for reparations? And some of the panel said, this is back, no, actually it was like 2008. Some of the panel said, well, yeah, but our ancestors died and this happened and that. Okay, I said, whatever. And then I asked, would you kill for reparations? And it was very silent. And then I asked the brothers, I said, would you kill a white man? At the time I called them, just to kind of give them a reference of two-legged species they call biped, but I called them a man. I said, would you kill a white man? Everyone on the panel, everyone, except for one brother, answered wrong, including yours truly. Everyone on the panel, there were some, even my father said, well, they were hemming and hawing and debating and rationalizing, and it just became a lot of palaver as very non-sequential type of idiocy that only brothers are. I hate to say it, but we are only capable of why not just saying yes or no? It was a yes or no question. I answered the wrong way. I said yes, even though it was my own question. Could you kill a white man, or would you kill a white man? I said yes. That was the wrong answer. Only one brother who deserves reparations, he answered it the right way. I'll never forget him. I asked him, I said, could you or would you kill, Peckerwood? He said, when? So he had already relegated within his mind that he was going to do it. He just needed to know, do you want me to do it now, after lunch, after the panel? Do you want me to do it before I go to work? Hey, just when? He had already relegated in his mind that he was at war with something else, another species. The rest of us were debating as to why we're in war. It ain't no different than the Negroes you see running around all over Africa, that are mourning the so-called death of this demon that just left the planet. The same one that that basically created Rhodesia. It ain't no different until we as an African people stop to curb our tongue. Because I wake up every day thinking I'm going to kill one of these bastards. I just don't know how. I already know who. I just don't know how many. I wake up every day thinking of that. Until we stop curbing our tongue because, Massa's going to get us, he's watching us, boogeyman, then we'll be no different than Mantan or any of the other brothers and sisters back in the day with their eyes wide poked out, waiting for Laurel and Hardy or the Three Stooges to go ahead and tell them what to do. On that note, I pass the mic.
Yeah, I feel you, MD too. And shouts out to my brother K Shaw. He said he would definitely, and then shouts out to Raw. Shouts out to Renee P all day long. So let me, and since we there, and now we about to get into why I said the 116th law, and I'm going to explain that to you. And while I do that, I'm going to let him kind of explain it for himself. We're going to go off this white boy's reasoning
What
here.
would that do? Would rep divide in the United States, Pat, or would it that's already out there?
I mean, you had in the whole period of slavery, I think you had 600,000 people brought to the United States under involuntary servitude or slavery, and 620,000 died in the Civil War, Americans. So that.
All right, so I missed it, but whatever. He said the Civil War was pretty much reparations, 620,000. Okay, so, and listen, I called it the 1/16th law, but I'm gonna switch it up today just because I ain't have time and I'm not that good at math where I'm a math expert here. But at the time of the Civil War, let's just go there and we go round up here, you know. So it was 4 million people enslaved at the time of the Civil War. Okay. All right. So 620,000 people died during the Civil War. Now, if you do that and you minus, that's paying 16.5% of the bill, right? Okay. So so it's different from the 16 to 16 1/16th law, you know what I'm saying? But right now, this is 620 people that died during the Civil War, right? Now, you do know there were black people in the Civil War that died, right? So there were 40,000 black soldiers. So we're not putting that on their bill here, you know what I'm saying? We're definitely not counting that towards it, right? So all in all, 580,000 of them died during the Civil War. Now, he said this was their payment for reparations, right? Now, at the time, there were 4 million slaves. So, you know, I did the math and I can't tell you that number that leaves you over, but it's 14.5% of their bill that was paid. You know what I'm saying? But, Carl, if you pay like 14.5% of your internet bill, what'll happen, my brother?
They probably gonna cut it off, man. If only 14.5% of it, yeah, they ain't gonna accept that.
They ain't gonna accept that. I wouldn't accept that either, Bakar. If you owe me $100 and you give me $14.50, I'm like, what the? Like, what is this?
Hey, but we'll be even. At least I gave you some, I guess.
All right, okay. So listen, y'all. All right, and now, I don't know what's okay. So, do y'all got anything to say about my math or anything like that, or what I'm saying right now?
Actually, Brother Forecast. Brother Forecast, you know that was the video that I had done about 3 years ago, called the 16th, and I'm glad you're a quick study, and that's why I admire you so much, because you're a quick study. The reason I put that video out several years ago was at the time. Remember, there was you were taught you were in an election series, okay? At the time, it wasn't just because of reparations why I said 16th. See, 16th is basically a little less than 1/5 of what's happening. And you have what's called a 3/5 rule, okay? And the so-called 3/5 rule dwindled down to 1/5 in terms of the opportunities that we get. So I had to round things down to a 16th because that was literally a 16th of what they were saying you have reparations for. You know, literally the reason I had to put that out, and like I said, you're a quick study. One thing I want to clarify you on is the 3/5 rule was put out there to make Africans only get 3/5 of the opportunities at the time. But as other nations, or I should say other entities like Asians and everybody else came in, they were using them as a buffer class, which means that black folks only get 1/5, and then it went down to like basically less than 1/5, about I would say less than 20%. It was more like 17, somewhere around there. Then it went down to 16%. And the reason I had to do that on the 16th rule, it's been a while because I did that video a few years back. But the thing is what they did, that it was pushing in this buffer class, which means, and you have a 16th of a chance to get loans, to get college degrees. And if you look at what DeSantis did right there, 20 black folk, if you said out of 100 individuals that were voter fraud, 100% of them, it's just literally 20 right there. It's kind of telling you that they know their numbers in terms of what they need. The things that, like I said, when it was 3/5, we only got 3/5 of the ability to go ahead and take opportunities, whereas everyone else, when it was just basically black and white, had 5/5, 100%. And then the jails at the time, or anything in the prisons, were literally, they were pretty much a situation where it was like 3/5 of the jails were us. Okay. Well, here's the thing: we get 1/5 now, a little less than 20% of the opportunities, but we're actually 1/5 of what's in those prisons, or usually what goes through that revolving door of prisons, are not black folk. we're the ones who stay in. Damn near, a little over 4/5 of us are literally on their prison rolls. And so I had to put that in terms of like it was basically 16%. And of us that have the ability to go ahead and do what we need to do outside of their so-called, penal system, I had to go ahead and put that in, and the numbers are actually dwindling against us as they get more and more protectionist and more right wing. So I admire you and thank you for putting this up there, because this was something that was really important to me back in the day when I did that video. But now it's even more important, especially when you start looking what's happening on these voter rolls. If you go to predictit.com, you go to some of these other prediction markets, you're going to start seeing that the same percentages in terms of who's going to more than likely win. And again, these are just prediction markets, so it's not a guarantee, but it's a very good gauge that those numbers are pretty much going to be reflected in their so-called governmental system. So anyways, I'll pass the mic.
Yeah,
hey, you know something, Forecast? I know people know this, right? But now the slave owners got reparation. They got $300.
Yeah, I was gonna show that too.
For every slave that was freed. Now, there's a couple of them that didn't. If you go back to around 2015, between 10 and 10, 2015, might have been 16, I don't know. You can see, I don't know. I never checked. It's a case, and I never checked the update where a white dude in Alabama sued the state of Alabama because his family never received reparations for the loss of their property. I don't have the update on the case, and I can't even remember the guy's name. But before this over, I have his name. I don't know if he won or not. I just want to say it.
Yeah. And but before I pass it to Revolutionary Matron, if she want to speak, and let me say this, I did not know that MG2, and yeah, I appreciate that. You absolutely right. I feel what you're saying, and I actually was wondering like, how you get the 1/16th, but at the same time, like the way I was looking at it, right, because he said that was reparations. So okay, so then I kind of took it into my own kind of thing, what I'm saying, to make it make sense in my mind, and I just put it like, okay, so he's saying that, okay, if the Civil War was reparations, and like, because you counted, like the one I heard, you counted like everybody who was kidnapped and the people that died and everybody. I only counted the people that was at the time of slavery, you know what I'm saying? Which is you'll have to go even further, higher than that. But that's where I get the, and then so I just like, okay, so then I look at it like, paying 14% of this bill, right? You know what I'm saying? So you owe a lot of, and then it's interesting that the numbers you still got, because like when I divide that number up, that's like, it say 3/20, which will be like 1 for every 1.666, like, so pretty much one person for every 7 people, you know what I'm saying? Like every one person has a limit of 7 people if that was their reparations, if that's what he's saying, so but Matron, you wanted to say something?
It sounds like he's trying to do the math, saying we only 600,000 of y'all made it to our shores, is what it sounds like he's saying. And that the bloodshed in the Civil War should balance out the bloodshed that they did to us. But he's not counting the slaves that were thrown overboard. He's not counting the slaves that made it to the shores of other places. He's not counting the slaves and the people that fought on the shores of Africa when they were taking us. So he's trying to balance out the blood oath, it sounds like, talking to someone that processes and understands things in terms of life for life, because that's the balancing action. And he's wrong. He's just wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. So y'all wanted to say something? Any of y'all want to say something before we move on? Because like I said, I didn't get as graphic as I wanted to. I didn't really have time, but I'm just going to show like some history stuff that was related.
Yeah, Brother Forecast, let me interject. The reason that I introduced you and you guys a few years ago about the 16th rule and why I put on that video, would you like to pay 16% of your bill, is over here where I'm at. At the time when I did the video, what they did is they had changed the water situation. There's two. You've got over there in Cherry, that's the hill that's over there. They got their own water system, but it's predominantly white. Well, when I went in and called that at the time, and this is a few years back, that's why I said, hey, would you like to pay 16% of your bill? When I introduced you to that, and I introduced you guys to that, the major reason is my bill went up like 17%. With what they did is they were trying to reuse the water from the rich area and said we could recycle that and you guys could go ahead and pay, and if not, you're going to pay 17% more. And because I live in an area that's got black folk. So the thing is I said, well, look, again, it's part of that 16% logic that I put on that video years ago. I said, well, look, what if I only pay 16% of my bill? Because the fact that these guys are getting cleaner water and they want to recycle that water to give to us and have us pay 17% more. So I just wanted to clarify that, and that's why I introduced these concepts to you. And when Learning Curve was talking about the math, if you go to, and I'm talking about when she said about, we've only brought certain many to you. If you do your research, there's a book called Kebuka. And again, when it comes down to numbers and statistics, that's what I like to do. That's why I introduce concepts like the 16% and like other percentages. Let me tell you something. Kebuka is a book that's very important. And I learned this from Professor Mwalimuke Baruti. Any African that has not read that, especially in diaspora, is just one of these social media Negroes want to sound good, repeating things and trying to go ahead and in other words, sonnet or Tariq and sheet. I'm clear they've never read this book. If you look at the percentages of Africans, over 156 million had actually been taken. But here's the thing. Professor Mwalimuke Baruti goes, I think he's got it down to 112 million. But then you have to go ahead and give percentages in terms of what the Europeans will not claim. Usually it's about 30 to 40%. But if you do your math, in the Ma'afa, they used to take Africans from the center of that continent all the way to the shores. Only 1 in 5 made it. Okay? If you do your math, when they were in those dungeons, only 1 in 3 made it out of those dungeons. And that's conservative estimates. The better estimates would say 1 in 6. But we'll just say 1 in 3 to make folks feel good. When it went to the ships, only 1 in 5 made it. Once they got to United Snakes' shores, remember, they were not on the shores. They were in these pens, kind of like what you do cattle. Only 1 in 5 made it out of that. And if you have some 8th grade math, and you just reverse that, and they say, oh, there was 12 million Africans, just use 8th grade math and go backward, and you'll see that their percentages they're not talking about the insurers that scuttled ships. They're not talking about the many that did die on the copper line. There's a lot of things that again, it's 8th grade math. That's all you need to do, and just reverse engineer that, and you'll see the real numbers. So that's why they'll claim only this a certain amount. We've only enslaved this certain amount. Again, they're like actuaries, and if you're an actuary, you're going to go ahead and make sure that you get numbers that are going to favor your client or favor your position. It's just common sense. So if you think like them, that's why I came up with the concept of 16%, because I had to go ahead and say, wait, they will go ahead as an actuary and promote numbers, whether it's my water bill or whatever it is that their so-called civil war. They're going to promote that in their favor. So I have to go ahead and look through that and get the real numbers. I'll pass the mic.
All right, and all right, so Hardcore just came on here, and let me say this, Hardcore, so we can get through this. If they don't want to answer, direct it towards me, I'll answer it or whatever. You know what I'm saying? If they want to answer it, they can answer it, but because I can't be on here super late.
Yeah, I wasn't looking to attack anybody or nothing like that. But what's up, everybody? But I do want to say to MG2 and Raw and Tanzan, you guys have my condolences on the loss of Your Majesty, and I know it was painful for you, but you do have my condolences on that. Now, I guess you were talking about reparations concerning Africa, because I admit I did join kind of.
No, I was talking about the 116th law. So they was the dude said that it's the Civil War, and it was how many people? 600 something people, 620 people died during the Civil War, and that was their reparations. So I'm saying, okay, at the time of the Civil War, that was on record, we rounding up 4 million people enslaved. So what I'm saying, you short on that bill. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay. So you think we should only get reparations for like slavery, or?
Well, no, I'm saying that was just a start, though, because I was about to go through some history stuff. That's what I'm about to say. I don't know if y'all even want to be on this part,
Okay, well, I'll reserve my comments until till you get through the next part then.
All right, so yeah, the first part was about slavery, you know what I'm saying? Because I didn't go into the history of slavery because we can all agree that slavery happened, right? And we are, you know what I'm saying, like yeah, it was a crime committed against us. So I ain't going into the history of that. But I did the math, you know what I'm saying? So all right, so we're gonna go to the next part unless y'all got something to say. Let me see, because I got this kind of confused. All right. All right, yeah, so let me show this one. All right, so because Bakari mentioned it, you know what I'm saying? Now, after this, you know, because the good old Abraham Lincoln, you know what I'm saying? President Lincoln signed the District of Columbia and the Compensated Emancipation Act. So in Washington, D.C., in the other states, it was one in the South, I think South Carolina, North Carolina, it was Georgia, one of them states. They also did the same thing before he got smoked, you know what I'm saying? So they actually did get, like Bakari was just saying, about $300, which is equivalent to $8,000 in 2021, you know, for each slave that got emancipated, right? So there's that, and then and then we go into the General Sherman, you know what I'm saying, Ebenezer Creek, because this is where the 40 acres and a mule come from, you know what I'm saying, that whole saying, and this is, I was telling y'all last time, but
December 9th, 1864. Sherman's 14th Corps was 220 miles southeast of Atlanta, crossing Ebenezer Creek on a pontoon bridge. The mission? Get to Savannah as quickly as possible.
Sherman was very specific and clear with his commanders. They had to keep moving. They were in a dangerous part of this campaign. It was late fall. Weather was getting worse. He didn't have a lot of time to stall or take on things that would slow down his movement.
But a large group of runaway slaves, perhaps more than 1,000, were following behind and slowing down the march. After crossing the creek, the soldiers pulled up the pontoon bridge, leaving the slaves stranded on the other side. With Confederate cavalry closing in, many of them jumped into the creek. It's estimated that hundreds of them, unable to swim, drowned.
It becomes immoral.
Now, when you say hundreds, it's probably like 500-600 people died, you know what I'm saying? And listen, these was people, the elderly, sick, children, and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? They ended up, you know, the people that were slaves, because they was not supposed to not be slaves. That was the point of the General Sherman March. And he was, quote unquote, freeing them if they helped fight with the South or with the North or whatever. But Abraham Lincoln was the one telling people, like, no, I don't want to piss off the people in the South, you know what I'm saying? And so when he was doing this march through the South, you know, the elderly and sick and all of this was following behind them, but the ones who was able-bodied, like the men who was able-bodied, they was clearing the path so they could bring their weapons through. And then they came across the Ebenezer Creek. They built the bridge, you know, and they got the weapons through, the army through, and the people who was able to work through. And then they blew the bridge up to make sure that the slaves couldn't come through. And so the South pulled up, you know, they slaughtered a bunch of men, women, and children, captured a lot of them, and took them back, you know. And a lot of, about hundreds of people, as he said, jumped into the water and froze to death, you know. And then that's when they had the 40 acres and a mule conference, and the people said, I want to have my own land, you know. And they asked you if you want to live with whites, they said, hell no, you know, all of this stuff when it comes to reparations. And y'all can jump in anytime, but I'm going through the history, so I'm not on here late, because y'all see there's a lot of stuff. And this is the beginning of the KKK, because people don't realize the KKK started before the 13th Amendment was even in effect, and black codes was passed before the 13th Amendment was official. You know what I'm saying? People don't even realize that.
To the Klan members.
It's a letter of advice to the Ku Klux Klan written by a controversial Confederate general, or is it? Tennessee politicians now find themselves embroiled in a heated historical debate over the legacy of Nathan Bedford Forrest.
Now, Nathan Bedford Forrest is supposedly the dude who was the first Grand Master of the first KKK in 1865 in Tennessee. You know what I'm saying?
May add more.
The man of his time.
With cover of advice to the Ku Klux Klan from the man widely believed to be the KKK's first Grand Wizard, written in 1872, well after Forrest had publicly claimed to have renounced the Klan. It's extremely long and verbose for what generally
we see from Forrest.
Archivist Myers Brown says researchers initially thought
confidential.
The treatise reaffirms the Klan's goal to, quote, restore the Bible institution of slavery and to suppress the damned N-word.
He's obviously addressing it to the Klan members.
It was printed right in the middle of the 1872 presidential campaign between Ulysses Grant and Horace Greeley, and the author urges support for Greeley, conjuring up the worst images of the Klan. Quote, brush up your disguises, clean your revolvers, secure fleet horses, and be ready at a moment's warning for efficient service.
And one of the oddities is that people were trying to connect Greeley with the Klan. And if you look at it in that light, you almost wonder if
mission, his supporters note that in
order,
while no one disputes that before the war, Forrest had been a prolific slave trader offering Negroes sold on commission, his supporters note that in 1875, the former Confederate general addressed a group of African Americans in Memphis offering reconciliation, even as the tale goes, kissing one of the women.
It's peculiar, to say the least.
In fact, the essay urges Klan members to, quote, make yourself all things to all men. Wherever N-wordism is epidemic, hug and kiss the N-word and the N-word's wife and daughter.
So you would call this a historical curiosity?
Absolutely.
Brown says the document definitely reflects the role of race during a dark period of American history. As to what it says about Forrest,
it's either the smoking gun or it's not.
All right, so that's the history of the KKK, and y'all got anything to say about this? Okay.
Yeah, we knew he was racist, and they still do this today. They have private meetings that are closed to the public where they talk to their constituents about their agenda, objectives, and real mission. They do this to this day where they have one conversation that shows up on your evening news. They have another conversation that shows up in your print and newspaper. But at the end of the day, what they say in those closed meetings with their constituents is what they really mean and is what they really do. So this is not new. I'm not surprised at this. There has always been a triple consciousness, or at least a double consciousness, that the Eurasian has presented to us, where they make us think everything is okay and we're working together, but in reality they go to the Grange meeting, or in this modern age the ALEC meeting, or whatever lobbyist group meeting, and they're having an entirely different conversation behind our backs, and we need to just face that reality. This is who they are. We are the ones that don't have those private conversations. We are the ones that don't have community safety and trust. We are the ones that are sitting ducks.
Yeah, that's a fact. All right, my brother Guy came on here too. All right, Guy, you wanted to say something?
Yo, what's up, King? How everybody doing? I'm just listening, you know what I'm saying?
What up, my brother?
Chilling, man. What's going on with you, man?
What up?
Yo, you doing great things, man. I see you doing big things. Shout out to Brother Bakari, the king of YouTube, you know what I mean? Bringing out that real information, you know what I mean? Shout out to the sister. Alquan was good. I ain't see this brother in a minute, man.
Yeah, what's going on?
And who else? Oh, MG2. That's the elder, man. Shout out to MT2, man. Let me just weigh on this a little bit. I agree with the sister. I think this is something that this is history that they trying to keep, right? They want to hold on to this power structure, and let me tell you something. They even though they showing all this and the grand wizard of the KKK and all that stuff, I think a lot of the times they showing basically showing their true colors. That is American history. American history is not You know, it's all about violence. It's all about enslavement. It's all about thievery. It's not an honest. They're not honest. It's the country. This country is not honest. They're not. They're not. Uh, uh, um, it's not about justice. You know what I mean? So what they telling you is nothing's not going to change. You know, it's not going to change. You know, they want you. This, like I said, we live, like I said, and I always say this: we live in every race for itself. Every race for itself. This is a colored code country. Okay, that's how they separate. They separate by color. You black, you need to go that way. If you white, you need to go that way. You know, you yellow, you need to go. That's how it is. It's every race for itself. We need to have our own meetings. We need to have our own thing going. You know, and there's a power structure that they telling you. You know, so let me tell you something. It doesn't matter. These white folks could talk about how bad this person is. They people is, but at the end of the day, they glorify they glorify they glorify the heroes. Okay, they glorify these evil white folks that they love to talk about. They glorify, when you had just thought about the Jews, the Jews glorify Hitler. I mean, let's be realistic. Because if Hitler was such a bad person, they wouldn't even mention him. If he was such if he wasn't irrelevant, they wouldn't even mention that dude. But they knew he was great. And they don't even, and one thing about what I don't like about white people, they don't even take accountability of their own shit. Jews was impressing other Jews. You think it's not even no comparison. Why would they give, how you can give reparations to somebody when they was enslaving each other? I won't even use the word slave, I'm sorry, oppressing each other. Because that's what they doing. We saw the movies like Schindler's List. We saw it. And that was directed by a Jew. We didn't do that. We didn't put that there. That's not propaganda. That was real life stuff.
A racist Jew, by the way. I still didn't see that movie.
It doesn't, look, let me tell you this. They should be racist. And we should be racist. Like shout out to Brother Bakari again. He said we should be racist too. Because race benefits people. Every race, yellow people, white people, red people, are racist people, and it's benefiting them. Yellow people don't have to give us jobs. Why? They should give their own people jobs. That's what they're supposed to do. White people should give their own people jobs. That's what they're supposed to do. When we make it, guess what? We do it. We marry outside our race. We don't give back. Only a handful of us do. But it should be, I'm talking about the ballers. I'm talking about the athletes, the music artists. I'm talking about them. People I'm talking about the Oprah Winfrey's. I'm talking about those making a big money should just give back to, you know, and making black communities. Not just people that's trying to, you know, making these little, you know, get a little business here and there. But we talking about people who making real big money. Look at and I'm gonna let my play. I don't want to go on for this. Nick Cannon, all his kids are biracial. None of his women are black women. But then he wants to talk about, well, we know, I'm tired of all these slave movies. Well, dude, look at what you're doing. You're not helping the situation. All his kids are mixed. So what I'm saying is that we have to focus on what we got to do. And the government, like they say, United States don't have us back. It's just plain as clear. They don't have us. They don't have our backs. They don't. So we have to come to realization that we are on our own, and we need to not give a fuck how other people feel. Damn these goddamn Jews. Damn these Asians and Europeans. Fuck them all. And I got to keep it 100. Because when we start saying, oh, what do white people feel, and And I'm not racist and all that stuff. No, we should be racist. We should be the most racist. We have every right to be racist. And I'm not saying we should curse a white person out or act like a Karen or I'm just saying we should do for self. We hire our own people. Everything should be black. Because since we follow a color code. So I just want to throw that out there. You know, I'm sorry for cast for rambling, but I just wanted to throw that out. I'm sorry.
No, you all good. Everybody agree, you know. And let me say this, you know, since the rest is history, let me ask y'all this, and we're gonna go by the order everybody came on here. All right, so listen, I'm saying, like, if y'all missed the 116th law, y'all go back, you know, and MG2 cleared it up, you know what I'm saying? And I know I kind of have a different kind of way of putting it, you know. But, you know, so the dude said the Civil War was their payment, that was their reparations, right? And so he said, so 620 people died, but 40,000 of them was black, so we're not going to even count that on their bill, you know. And so that leaves us 580,000. But 4 million people were enslaved at the time. So I'm saying, as far as reparations, what I would accept right now today, you know, the only thing I would accept is paying 14.5% on every bill when I go to the store and all of that, and not paying taxes and all of that. So what do y'all think about that? Antoine DeMille?
Now, you say, what would we think about not paying taxes? Not paying taxes with shit.
As a part of reparations.
Not paying taxes as part of reparations.
And 14.5% of every bill that you pay, because that was their payment, but they short. They only paid 14.5%. So
well, I don't want to pay no bills and I don't want to pay no taxes. But if there was some type of reparation plan, yes, I would say no taxes. And you know, shit, I'm gonna be honest. Water, light, gas, all that should be free. I'm saying if there was some if we were talking about we really doing something talking about reparation and there was some type of plan for reparations, excuse me, yes, I would agree with that.
all right, and yo, Rasheed Holmes, I can't add nobody else on here. I want to shout out to my brother. So yo, stay right there, and if you know, somebody come on, get off, I'm gonna let you on. Learning curve.
Yeah, I'll say this and then I'll drop off so you can add Rashid.
No, you can stay on. I want you to stay on.
We are not citizens of this country. We are stateless inhabitants of a we are stateless inhabitants of this entity. Um and you know, I forgot what your original question was, but I need us to get that. We are stateless inhabitants because they don't do anything other than find a way to profit off of us. And we have all the ability to create profit motives for ourselves and to organize ourselves and to stop this, but we don't trust each other enough. Now, what was your question though?
No, I was just pretty much saying like as reparations, we only pay 14.5% of our bill and no taxes. Would you accept that for reparations?
No, that's not enough. I mean, you know, it would be nice if that's part of a total package, but that's not enough. We don't have to go on a truth and reconciliation commission route. Just let me educate my children and tell them the truth. We don't have to um, integrate into your businesses, but let me have thriving businesses of my own because the knowledge and information is out there. Treat me like a full whole citizen, if you know, if that's what you want to call it. And you know, there are some heads that need to roll for the fallacy of what has continued to plague my people since we got here and encountered you entities. um so, I mean, is that a starting point? Okay, 14.5% and no taxes. That's a starting point, but that's not at all the anywhere near the total full bill that's due.
Yeah, I feel you, and hopefully you can stay on because I'm gonna go through history. I know you know a lot of it, so I definitely would like your insight if you can. MG2.
Yeah, brother forecast. I don't think you remember, but that was the actual ratio that I gave you and gave you guys in terms of why I would not pay those bills. Because of the fact the ratio of enslaved Africans to the so-called Civil War fighters. That was the basis of what I was showing you guys back then. And that was actually, I don't know if you remember that, but the thing is I don't think a lot of our folks, again, I don't like being an echo of an echo of an echo, because if I create an original concept or think an original thought, as Dr. Ivan Van Sertima said, we become an echo of an echo of an echo. Basically putting a timestamp on something in order to be able to explain an idea. And unfortunately, when we did that, also did that with the so-called reparation. When you ask about should we pay 14.5%, remember, we're the ones that are owed. Okay, we might not deserve reparations, but we're owed it. Okay, we're owed it. And I've been saying that many a time. Matter of fact, others put their timestamp on exactly what I've been saying again. Again, an echo of an echo of an echo and no original thought. What I'm saying is we are owed. You never pay somebody something when they owe you. That's like paying a thief to get your stuff back. That's like 14.5%. Even I said 16 at the time. It doesn't matter what the percentage is. Okay, the thing is if you're owed, why you pay in the first place? What that was is trying to tell us, and the reason I put that video out, especially the ratio of so-called Civil War soldiers to enslaved Africans, is because at this very same day, if you look on their so-called dollars, many of those were either sympathizers or had children who were the sympathizers of those that so-called say that we don't deserve so-called reparations. This is a lot deeper than just numbers. When I was showing you guys this brother forecast, it's a lot deeper than numbers. It's trying to let us know that it's not about money. It's not about, oh, I can pay this bill because this is how much. What I showed you at the time, and especially why I said, well, should we even pay? It wasn't saying that, oh, because you've done this, then I'm only going to pay that much. That's silliness. Okay, and I was using it in terms when I said that a few years back as it is silliness to say, wait a minute, I shouldn't pay a goddamn dime. Matter of fact, they should be paying me. They owe us the breads out of their mouths. They owe us their lives. Unfortunately, we've been so adopted into their so-called society. We look at their so-called money. We look at their so-called accolades. Oh, I'm glad Brother Guy brought it up earlier about Oprah Winfrey and whatnot. I was watching Brother Bakari's program on the war against black males, and I got to thinking to myself, wait a minute, whether you're a celebrity or whether you think you're an indigenous, Moorish Kemet freedman or any other kind of nonsense, you are in a war with other folks who know who they are and have exploited everything to get where they're at, including that so-called devil that just died they call Elizabeth. They've exploited everything from the smallest to the largest and everything in between, from the atom to outer space and everything in between. They've exploited, marginalized, molested, and did everything to it. And for us, they've been the subjects of that exploitation to even think, well, I'll probably pay 16% of my bill. I was saying that back then as a joke. But I was trying to get the mindset to us to say, wait a minute. Our minds are set up in their society, in their money, in the way that they think. They are our frame of reference. As I've coined that term so many times, who is your standard? Who's your frame of reference? To the point where we're thinking in terms of, okay, if they pay us or they give me that, still yet, it doesn't matter. You're still a slave. Whether you are, in gender wars or you think you're an indigenous, whatever, you think you're Oprah. Oprah's just another slave that got more peanuts than the other guy. She is still marginalized by the same individuals you and I are. And a lot of us don't think that way, Brother Forecast. A lot of us, I mean, and I hate to be mean, but most black folk don't have the intellectual real estate to think beyond the immediate, the things that the accoutrements of petty bourgeoisieism that's in their creature comforts. They can't think outside of that. They could think of, if I have a better quality of life, maybe a car, a house, some internet views, YouTube views. That is the mindset, the intellectual real estate. That's the circumference of their being, which is literally like the size of a teacup. Where the circumference of other folks' being, like these devils, like the one that just died and the others, they think of the entire globe. That's why I put that video out there years ago. It wasn't just a thing of trying to say, they owe us and they should pay. It was a thing of trying to teach you back then that the way they look at ratios of their so-called Civil War soldiers to the enslaved Africans as a way of war, so they could go ahead and conquer. We think of it as a way of, well, can we live underneath you and get certain things underneath you? And then therefore we might think of equality. Damn it, no. Equality is them in the graves and us controlling our destiny. And anyone that can't think that, if you're black, I still love you. I just know you're not well equipped to this thing called intelligence at this present time. I'll pass the mic.
Yeah, absolutely. Alquan Harco.
Yeah. For people who are qualified for this topic to discuss this, I would say, number one, I find it weird that they're just so overly obsessed with us. So it's clear that we have to be more than just mere slaves kidnapped from Africa, or else they wouldn't be so obsessed with us. From everything, you just go on YouTube. Even I haven't been on World Star in about a year. Went back on there about a week ago. Same old comments. I'm like, they're hypocrites because they talk about us, but yet they're on a site showing us, no matter how it's done, but they keep showing us, so they're interested, they're obsessed. So as far as this reparations tax exemption, total tax exemption, that's what I always say has to be a minimum. But only paying 14.5% of bills, that's good if it comes with payments too, money, because we just can't have tax exemption and paying 14.5% of bills with no income. Because as time goes on, as I keep looking around, I keep seeing, and a guy Nollywood touched on it a little bit, saying that Asians only hire their own people, which they do. Apparently, discrimination laws don't apply to them. You don't see black people working at a Chinese restaurant, and whatever East Indians own, they only hire their own people, or they might hire what you want to call an African style. It'll be a Caribbean or an African, and even that's just to fill quotas, but they don't want to hire us. So we would need, because in the future we're going to have some problems, because I keep seeing so many different imported people every time I go out. It's like I'm seeing a new batch of different types. I'm like, my God, I said, man, they're hooking these people up. So we're going to have to get a hookup after a while, especially in the next generation. People keep thinking everything is easy for your kids if they go out and get you used to go out and get that McDonald's job to start off, or Burger King, but now in most places they're having tribes of Mexicans work these places. So you're not even under consideration anymore. But I was in Morristown, New Jersey the other day, and very nice, very rich town. I've been there before, but not this particular part off of the Columbia Parkway. Very clean. It was very impressive too. Very clean. No trash anywhere. Roads were neat, and it wasn't like typical New Jersey roadways where you gotta drive a quarter of a mile just to turn a right, just so you could take a left. You could actually, if you want to take a left, you could take a left, like normal roads. So it was very clean. The McDonald's had a color scheme and a design that I haven't seen anyplace else. I guess it was unique to the area because I guess they had to build it like that. Totally different design. It was nice. Went inside because I had to use the bathroom. Very clean. And to my surprise, not one Mexican working there. It was mostly white and two black people. White manager. Everybody was clean, dressed clean, no shirts hanging outside the pants. Everything was tucked in. I said, God damn, am I in the Twilight Zone here? I mean, I've never seen a McDonald's quite like this before, where everybody is neat and clean. The place is so clean that you're like, this can't be McDonald's, because not the ones I'm used to. All I did was order soda and fries. I got to say, man, it was the freshest, cleanest, hottest, tastiest McDonald's French fries I had in a long time. I almost got tempted to order a hamburger just to see how it was going to look. I was like, my God. But it goes to show, in those deep suburbs, they won't hire the Mexican, but apparently the Mexican must be for us, because we don't have any choice. So they don't really want to show Mexicans in these rich places. But, I also got to intervene. This raw person You know, she already said she wants to put
Yeah, that's my
hands on
sister.
me.
That's my sister Raw right there.
Yeah, she said she won't put hands on me. She calls me an Uncle Tom and a traitor and a sellout. But she has to understand, see, her violence as a Caribbean is coming out because she wants to continue to kill us.
But
And
hardcore. If we talking about reparations, like why are you talking about a Big Mac though?
oh no, I was just saying about the jobs and how they didn't hire Mexicans and how in the urban areas they hire Mexicans, and in the future you can't get your kids can't get a McDonald's job easily in urban areas because they got Mexicans there.
Right,
Okay.
but Harko, I got a question. What does that have to do with reparations? Like a job and reparations. I'm not
Well,
connecting the dots. Help me out.
the connection was if you only get tax exemption and you pay 14% of your bills, you will still need an income, a security blanket in the future.
Okay. Okay.
So you just can't go with the tax exemption alone and paying 14% of your bills. They got to give up some money too, because they damn sure paying these Mexicans and these other immigrants, and they didn't do nothing. They ain't put in any kind of work in this country.
Yeah, I feel you on that part, as far as it's more than that. Okay, so God, my brother, what's going is on you.
Man, I gotta give a big shout out to Learning Curve, man. That sister, she's on point. You know what I mean? Because I have to agree. Because when we talk about reparations is all about repairing, right? So you have to repair all the damages that you have done. So my thing is this: it's like you destroy generations, not just a tribe or whatever. You destroyed generations of people. You separated families. You deprived people from resources. You did all that for almost hundreds of years and got wealthy. So it's not enough. So what you have mentioned is not enough. Just say, okay, we're not going to give you no tax. It's not enough. I won't be pleased. No, you gave people free land. You gave people everything they wanted to sustain their lives. But when it came down to us, we have to jump hurdles to get what we at. Even when you look at the athletes, right? Just look at the athletes. Everybody probably likes sports on this panel and probably in the chat. We have to be, in order to make money or order to be famous or whatever, we have to go over we have to excel. Like we have to, how you said, what's the word I'm looking for? We have to go over the top to get noticed, to get some serious money or to get some sort of praise. You see what I'm saying? I remember Chris Rock, he had mentioned that he's rich, right? Doing stand-up, he made movies and all that stuff, but he lived next to he lives in a white neighborhood in New Jersey somewhere, and the white neighbor is a fucking dentist. He says this. He said the white neighbor is a dentist, and he's rich. He got money, and he lives next to a white guy who's a dentist. Now, what type of money? How much dentists make? And how is it where he's on the same status as Chris Rock? I mean, it's something, but you got to understand these people have a 400-year head start. They had a 400-year start. Everything was handed to them. White people are the most laziest bastards on this planet. They lazy. And they could become your boss, and they don't have to do nothing. They don't even have to have a college degree. This is facts. And while you have to get your master's to even get the same pay, all they got to do is get It's all about connections and you know, I won't even say connections, is that their people look after them. Hey, you got a college there? Don't worry about it. I'll make you manager. You black, you got a master's degree, and you might get close of what this white guy's making. And this person or this white man or white woman could still be your boss. And you got a master's degree. That's a problem. That's a serious problem. And it's still happening today. So to me, what you're putting out forecast is not good enough for me, because when you dealing with reparations, it's all about repairing. That means repairing all the damage that they have done. All the damages. I mean, they separated families, and they still doing it. They didn't separate. The people was crying because they separate some fucking Moranos who committed a crime, and Biden paid them almost half a mil. That's a problem. So this is the time we gotta not get. And I'm telling you, if we gotta stop we gotta stop concentrating on ourselves. If those that don't want to be African, fine. If you think you're black, then follow the race card. Do the race card. Everybody else doing. Asians is going to stick with Asians. They don't give a damn if they're Japanese. They don't care if they're Korean. They're whatever Asian. When in this country, it's Asians for self. Yellow people. Oh, you yellow, man? Okay. I don't care if you're Vietnamese. You yellow. You yellow like me. Okay, I'm gonna hire you. Oh, you white. I don't care if you're from France. I don't care if you're from England. You're white. You down with me. Oh, you from Africa? You from the Caribbean? Oh, you're black. You black like me. You know what? You're hired. I got you. That's what we need to do. When you're a tribal, you're not going to make it. You're not going to make it if you're tribal. It's facts. Every tribal, you know, is either they dissipate, they don't even talk about no more. ADOS is gone. That's done. FBA is dwindling. It's all about nation building. And I've been saying this, but nobody don't, you know, it's what it is. That's how you're going to make it. So, and I'm going to just land my plane on this. It's all about repairing the damages. And if they can't do that, then the hell with them. Then we need to do our own reparations by ourselves, for us, and by us, and fuck everybody else. I don't care how nice they are to us. I don't care how they could smile and be like, "Oh, you're my friend." No, you cool, but you can't join my business. This is for my people. That's it. And we got to be selfish. We got to be a selfish race. Yes, like Brother Bakari said, we got to be racist, because racism benefit every other race. No one, and forecast, you put that out there with the European Jews. Ain't nobody criticizing them. So, and if they don't give a damn, then we should not care either. And we should be fucking selfish. And who cares what white media say? They can kiss our ass. It's all about us. And I bet you we're going to gain more respect than anything. Trust me and believe, we're going to gain more respect. We got to start marrying one another. The black man, black woman, and child. We got to keep that trinity. We got to keep that trinity. And I yield the mic.
All right. So, yeah, I agree with y'all. Like, everybody but Bakari passed the test. Me and Bakari gonna be in there taking 14% in tax off money. I'm surprised, Bakari, because you're the most against it. You know what I'm saying? But you know, I'll be
actually what I said. I want my bills to be free. Water, gas, I want my shit free. That's shit. But hey, can I say something right quick?
All right, go ahead. There we go. All right, go ahead.
I know that what guy just said, reparations is to repair, right? Now I'm finna play Johnny for a minute, okay? Well, look, I'm talking to my little homeboy Bill. Did you hear those guys? They want us to give tax off and repair them. What do you think we should do? Man, we put them on the bottom of a ship and took them halfway around the world. We don't owe them a damn thing. You can't pay for raping my great, 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 great grandmama. You can't pay for the murder and the rape and the robbing. Blood debts got to be paid in
Oh,
blood.
they could pay all right.
I'm saying money. Money can't repair that. I understand black people want money. I think money can't repair that. If we truly want money, and I've been saying it forever. If you truly want money and you truly want something, if you truly want reparations, look in the damn mirror and understand we are the resource. When we say we don't have a resource, we are making a mistake. We are the damn resource. Look in the mirror. How we are not the resource for ourselves, but everybody else can get rich off us. We are the resource. We the greatest commodity.
Facts.
Greatest commodity ever bought here. We the greatest cargo ever put on that ship. What happened then? It happened, and we still fighting right now. But in order for us to get some and do better, it's gonna take us. I don't ever expect them to give you a damn thing. That's why I don't argue about it, and that's why I don't talk about it. I talk about what we should do, and that's the most important thing. Race first. It's just that simple. And
Still let people fight for it, though.
if anybody else, if everybody else, and I don't even care about them, none of them are standard. If everybody else, there's some things you just got to look at and see. If Mr. Chong understand he need to hire his cousin Leon Sue, and so on and so forth, for them to build. We the only ones want to look and argue where you come from, who you are. We gonna make up fantasies. We gonna say shit that ain't true, so we can have something to feel good about. And at the end of that conversation, or your feel goodery, you're still in the same fucking position. And ain't nobody gonna take us out that position but us. Nobody else.
But we haven't taken ourselves out of that position yet. But reparations may not repair all the way, but it definitely start healing. I tell you that.
Okay, great. I'm glad you said that, but let me finish. I ain't cut you off, right? Because people get mad when you go to talking about they ain't gonna get no check. So this is the thing. Somebody owe me something, I go take it. So won't you fight for what yours then? Just that simple.
Exactly.
So somebody else did the fighting, and then we got it. You gonna refuse it?
You say if somebody else did the fight. Well, one thing for sure, two things for certain, the third one is a fact. If I'm waiting on y'all to fight to get some, I ain't got to refuse it. If I'm waiting on y'all to fight, I ain't gonna have to refuse it. First, let me see what you're preparing. Let's see who training.
No, I'm saying somebody else fights and you don't, because you said don't. I'm not doing it. Then that means you still gonna take it though when it comes here, right?
Because they ain't coming. See, I don't worry about that. That's a fantasy to me.
Okay.
I answered Forecast question, but then I came back to reality, right? Because me and Forecast had this conversation. I just answered the question for the sake of Forecast. That's a fantasy. That is a fantasy.
But if it came, would you take the reparations?
I just told you I'm back in the real world. Oh, Johnny. I just talking to Johnny. Johnny is not going to give you guys anything, man. They don't deserve nothing.
No, this is a what if.
What if what? What
Hypothetical.
if who fault? What if who fault? I'm gonna say it like this: if black folk were willing to fight, I'm always training and I'm always ready. If black folk were willing to fight,
even if we didn't fight, but they say here's your reparations, you stand in line and
see
register,
that.
right?
I'm not even going down through all those hypotheticals, man. I'm not going through those hypotheticals.
But
I got a quick question. I got a quick question for y'all. They print money, right? Money is backed on the full faith in the credit that whatever the institution is printing the money has. Do you think that they would print the money and then increase the inflation to an amount where the money is worthless like they did in Germany?
Thank
Yeah,
you.
that's what I always propose, but that's why, if they did it, like gave us reparations, you better buy up some land and some real estate first.
I'm sorry to cut you guys off, but thank you. You were saying, I mean, this is what I deal with in markets every day. Every day. This is my life. That's how I get paid. And learning curve, that's why I love you so much. I can't even think straight. You have brought something that I've been saying on live streams. They manipulate their currency. They manipulate their economic system. If you see what's happening right now, especially inflation rates, why do you think it's over there? They're printing over $1 million every 30 seconds during the so-called pandemic. And guess who was paying the bill? Black folks. Okay, because
Facts.
relatively speaking, we're the greatest tax-paying base, relatively speaking, than anybody else on this planet, because we don't own the corporations. In other words, other folks got reparations to build their business and survive in this corporatocracy called United States, and not us. So we're the ones with the so-called government jobs or whatever job that pay, relatively speaking, a greater percentage of taxes. Learning curve, I wish I'd give you a dozen roses right now, because the moment that they go ahead and say, oh, here's a check, the next day you're going to see bread accelerate to 1,000% what it is. Even if they don't mandate it, it's going to happen. Why? Because it's called gouging. Have an earthquake, have a hurricane, have a fire, have a terrorist attack. Those of you in New York, you were paying like $1.99 a bottle for water. The day after 9/11, it went up to $8. Before the so-called pandemic, hand sanitizer was $1.99 or 99 cents. The day right after it was $8.99. I saw that personally. So this is what somebody who manipulates your economy that you're unfortunately hardcore, you too are subjected to. It doesn't matter whether they give you a nickel or a dime. You're going to be paying, relatively speaking, out of your ass. The
Well,
one
I mean,
thing that
they
when
kind of doubled up on food right now. You know?
Facts.
Hold on for a second.
MD2, are you saying a loaf of bread might go up to $30?
Yep, I believe it.
Get it from a dollar store.
Well, how bad would you want a loaf of bread then? You know, that's what it boils down to.
Now, here's the thing, Hardcore. When Brother Bakari was asking that, see, I have to deal with hypotheticals every day. And, somebody did give you a check. Because, again, if they give you a check, you better know where the devil's pie comes from. If they give you a check, it's because it's going to go right back in their pocket one way or another, 1,000-fold. They'd be stupid not to do it. I'm going to say it again. If you got paid hard cold with a so-called reparations check because you're indigenous, whatever, they will go ahead and make sure that your reparations check will be paid to them 1,000-fold 2 days later, because they'd be stupid not to do it. That's how this so-called capitalist society works. It is not a country. It has never been a country. It has never gone through the demographic changes, the war changes, or anything else that millennial-old countries have done. It is a flea market called the United States or Western Empire. Unfortunately, Africans don't think that. They think they're, idealizing the standardification of Eurocentric nonsense. The thing is, if I'm going to put a hypothetical, or what if other folks did the fighting, will I take that check? That's like me going ahead and letting my neighbor screw my wife and seeing if I'm going to orgasm. It doesn't make sense, hardcore. It doesn't make sense, black folks. Okay? The thing is it's a thing of like, look, if you're not out there to go get what's yours, hypotheticals ain't going to get it for you. Hypotheticals may or may not work. The bottom line is you're going to have to go get it irrespective of the hypotheticals. And if you don't think that way, I still love you. I ain't mad at you, but I'm sure your neighbor's having a good time with your wife. I'll pass the mic.
But some people say we need to take reparations. Now, how do you go take something that people are supposed to give you for repair? Because if you take something, then obviously it's not reparations anymore.
How do you take something?
If it's supposed to be reparations, some people say you got to take your reparations.
Yeah, you do.
Can I answer that for you there, Hardcore?
Go ahead.
Other guy said reparations is repair, and I said this on many a live stream. I mean, I'm sorry to be loquacious, but sometimes some things don't connect, and I really got, as someone who's literally, going toward the sunset of his life, he's got to go ahead and explain some things to folks that are just entering their prime. Let me tell you guys something. Repair. Reparations is repair. Brother Guy, I'm glad you brought that up so eloquently. Why is let me put it this way. The only way that others will repair you is if they put themselves in a state of disrepair. That's why they broke you in the first place. I'm going to say it again. You are repaired as an African, Black, Hotep, Kemet, Israelite, Indigenous, whatever we call ourselves. If you are repaired, that means Asians, whites, and everyone else is in a state of disrepair. Why would they want to go ahead and put themselves in disrepair to go ahead and make you good? It's just common sense. They broke you in the first place. That's why they go ahead and take all the resource out of Africa. That's why they've got us on these so-called talking to each other about things that don't matter, because of the fact they still own the water system. They still own the electricity. They still own the medical world. So the thing is, is you got to ask yourself in terms of repair. Somebody's not going to repair something they broke just because. They broke it for a reason. And that state, when you said taking it back, the way to take it back is put them into a state of disrepair. As Brother Bakari always says, you must repair yourself for them to be disrepaired. I'll pass the mic.
But you know, that put them in a state of disrepair. That's even more fantastic than waiting on reparations. You get
Hey,
reparations.
Hardcore, let me ask you this, right? You think if a bunch of black people stop going to like Walmart, that would put them in the state? You know what I'm saying?
No, because I see Mexicans and other people will be there. You know.
Okay. And do
Can
you
I
think that?
I'm sorry. This is just like, let me tell you, hardcore. I've seen this back in 1976 with Vietnam. This so-called individuals that you think is fantastic, and again, if you're colonized, I'm not mad at you. I love you. That's just colonized thinking. But let me tell you something, hardcore. And this is something you might have not seen earlier this year. I think it was either February or March. United States, this Western Anglo Empire spent over $6 trillion to try to kill some Afghanis in a hill. They put this so-called nation in a state of disrepair, whether they fought or not. United States inflation rates, the so-called military hegemony, everything is going haywire because of the fact that they were able to go ahead and do it. That was not fantastic. That's what we call facts. And no, better yet, that's the record. I'll pass the mic.
I don't get that, but I know all that heroin coming out of Afghanistan turned a hell of a profit. You know, the opioid epidemic, you know, all that shit, all that coincided with all that. But I know some people say reparations is complete, total repair of everything, but they can give you enough to satisfy you and keep you lower than them, but it'll be enough for you to shut up and finally not talk about the past anymore. And most of us will take it. You got black people out here. I heard people say if they gave 15,000 as reparations, they take it.
Would you hardcore? Would you take it to shut up?
Not no 15,000.
Okay, I appreciate that.
So let me ask you a question, hardcore. Let's say the shoe was on their foot. You Johnny right now. Would you give you reparations?
Well, actually, now you might find this shocking what I'm about to say, because you're a Johnny example. I actually agree with, if I'm the white man, I'm like, shit, you're victims of war. We dominated you, so hey, you know, all your goddamn thing.
Wow.
And so watch this, right? So if you Johnny, and you know that's how they should, anybody common sense, ain't nobody gonna give up their power and strength, right? So why in the hell we keep talking to them about giving us something when we have what everybody wants?
I'll tell you why. It's because others have gotten some form of reparations. Some don't even deserve them. So you keep the pressure on and lay down your case, and eventually, through public humiliation, they might at least concede something.
Public humiliation.
You gonna humiliate
Public
somebody?
humiliation? Are you serious?
Well, I mean, that's how the civil rights movement got a little something. Public
No,
humiliation.
that had nothing to do with public humiliation. You need to go back and see. You need to go back and look and see when they were rioting, when they started busting people upside the head.
I'm gonna show that. I was about to show that.
Dr. King, it wasn't just us asking. Black people started fighting, going upside their damn head.
Yeah,
that's right.
And Mr. Untouchable, I don't eat chicken on the bone. I only eat chicken breasts, fried chicken breasts.
So, you don't eat fried chicken at all? What about watermelon? You like watermelon?
I like fries. Look, I like.
I'm just messing with you, Arco. You know, you're my brother. I'm just messing with you.
Now, watermelon, sure enough, is good, but goddamn it, it's expensive too.
Look, I eat chicken and watermelon. Okay, y'all. So okay, listen. All right, so listen, I agree with my brother Bakari on that one. You know what I'm saying? Yo, that's an absolute fact what he just said. And I was gonna get into the history of it, you know what I'm saying? So and I was gonna talk about you know, they did have more riots the year before Martin Luther King got shot because people was not turning the other cheek no more, you know what I'm saying? Reparations definitely has to be taken, and there's a million ways you could take it, the same way people take your land, you know what I'm saying? Like, you take stuff, that's how the world works, you know what I'm saying? Like, there can only be one person on top, bro.
Right, but see, how do you take reparations from somebody who's on top. It's like if you're in prison,
Well, it depends.
and you want change in prison, but you're the prisoner.
Well, see, that's the thing, you know, there's this such thing as and that was another question, but I'm not going to ask y'all on this episode of the 116th law. I get what you're saying, MD2, but, you know, just for what you're saying, if reparations is the white people that died in the Civil War, you know what I'm saying, that's 1 for every 7 person, you know what I'm saying. I'm not going to ask y'all the question. I was going to get into history, but if y'all want to say something, y'all can finish the conversation, you know what I'm saying, before I finish the history thing. But I'm not gonna be on here long, so it's not gonna be long. So if y'all want to finish the conversation, y'all go ahead.
Forecast for the record, I'm gonna do you like you do me. When I got to get up early, I'm gonna keep you on here all night asking questions about 2 to about 4 o'clock in the morning.
Ask a question right now, Bakari.
Hey, Mr. Untouchable, I'm gonna do him like he do me.
You gonna be asleep before anybody on here, Bakari. So I ain't worried about that. But all right. So y'all done with that, or go ahead, y'all go ahead and finish.
I just want to say,
yeah, I just.
There you go. You can go.
Yeah, I just want to ask Hardcore this question, like since you're native to this land, right? This called United States or North America. What are you doing, or what are your tribe doing to take back the land, and get this reparation? Because you feel that you native to this land. These are just a handful of white people just kicked your asses. They're not giving you nothing. You know, they literally telling you, yo, we're gonna give to the Mexicans, we're gonna give to these other white people who, you know, who's been oppressed, and they telling you we're not giving you nothing. What are you gonna do as a man who claim that you are native to this land called North America? What are you doing, or do you have an organization or anything like that to fight to get your reparations?
Okay, well, I want to keep it on topic. All that's happening to anybody, any ideology, who happens to be black in the United States. So nobody's really doing much at all. And like Bakari did make note of, when it comes down to it, you ain't gonna make nobody do nothing if they don't want to do it. However, that's why the people, they got to use different strategies, and
they made us do something we didn't want to do.
Right. Well, like what? Yeah, because we're the ones subjugated. But see, these other, we can't make them do what we want them to do. That's why it hasn't been done yet.
Or can you?
Well, I mean,
yeah, but Hardcore, this is your land, though. This is your land.
It's your land too.
Okay, so are you are a nativist? You think that we were here, right? And right? No. I'm just going like, and I apologize. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I just want to make sure I understand.
Matron, he go by the white man information, Matron. No, I'm joking.
So, well, they killed all the Indians. So he's in this mind place of, you are the original Indians, right? And you were continuously disinherited as your people were socially and sexually integrating into the white man's culture. And so now you're on the, what's your origin story? That's the question.
Well, I mean, that's not the topic of tonight. I like to stay on topic when I'm on other people's channels. And that's why that my op forever, he's scared to have me on even while staying on topic. But, you know, again, whether you call yourselves an Indian, Native American, Indigenous, or Pan-African or African origin, we are the same people.
We indigenous to the planet, and I want my planet back, black man. That's what I say.
Well, see, for that, you got to fight. So, I mean, ain't no other way about that. That's why you see Queen Elizabeth dies. She got that empire. The only way you can get out of the empire, you got to fight the power, just like in Star Wars. You got to fight them.
Hey, Hardcore, did you cry today?
Of course not. I said, damn, it's about time. I know Prince Charles was like, God damn, man, my mother finally died. I can't believe it. I can finally become king. God damn. Now he's probably thinking to himself, God damn, how long am I going to live now? Because I might only have 2 years, you know?
Man, that lady, I don't know how old he is, but that lady ruled that bitch ruled for 75 years. And she got did everything she wanted to do. And there's black people crying on the internet right now, talking about some, oh, be compassionate and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, while she's rocking the jewels, you know what I'm saying?
Bro, I was in a Twitter space where they were talking about, African people, we don't speak ill of the dead. I'm like, the hell we do? We tell the truth about the dead. What are you? So, yeah, they tripping.
Well, just for balance, though, people in Hong Kong, former British colony, they were crying too, and people were talking about memorabilia, money, the old money with her face on, and all that kind of stuff, and they miss her and all that kind of stuff and how they were born under British rule. I said, damn, even the Asians, the Chinese who act so proud, even they were still under the spell.
But that is them perpetuating an economic system because guess what? All of that stuff is going to be memorabilia. It's going to have a value and a monetary amount of their money assigned to it, and they'll be able to cash it in return to exchange it for other goods and services, unless we check out of the system and create our own monetary system. But that's just another way for them to perpetuate their economy.
That's another thing too. Now that you mention it, a lot of us talk about creating our own monetary system, but you need either land or a nice tight underground connection where this can happen, and black people just aren't unified enough.
Actually, that is not accurate whatsoever.
Can you tell me how it's done?
You can create your own economic system that can go without having to interface with others. In Westminster, not too far where we're at, Vietnamese have an entire underground economy and not $1 changes hands. A lot of it's done by barter and trade. A lot of it is done by information gathering and information sharing. A lot of it, when you open your mind away from European constructs and European concepts, you know that individuals like Italians, Jews, have done it in the past. The Asians are doing it now. And a lot of the Mexicans, especially where I'm at, because it's damn near all Mexican or Hispanic, there's a lot of things that trade hands or that favors and things go on, and not $1 has traded hands. Again, it's what you value as a resource. I'm glad Brother Bakari put that in the chat in terms of our resource. As African or somewhat Africans, when I say somewhat, those who might look like us but have other different ideologies,
like Arabs.
Our frame of our frame of reference is always someone else because we've been colonized even worse than that bitch that's in the grave right now. Okay, we've been colonized in terms of our mind. Okay, we've been colonized to think and to respond and act as if the only economy that exists is their economy, because that's not the economy. She is not the queen, and this is not the government or any of this nonsense. Even if Malcolm X said that, he said it back in the day. This is a new day. Okay,
well, Russia is feeling the pinch of their economy, though.
That is there. Okay, whereas again, with the Mexicans I'm telling you about, the Vietnamese and the Laotians where I'm at, that is their economy. Okay, and they know how to make it the economy for themselves. Okay, it's just common sense. I beg for the day. I mean, I really long for the day when Africans could actually think about in their own interest and don't even give a shit about it. Excuse my language. The things that are external to this means nothing. When I say external, whether it's a reparations check or not, it's external. It means nothing. Okay, it really does. Because the thing is the only repair you're going to get, and there are different ways of taking it back, quote unquote, a repair. I gave you an example with Afghanistan, or you could say Iran, Iraq, or you could say Japan. They used their technology and the way that they were able to sculpt and shape technology.
And what did you say about Iran and Iraq? What did you say about them?
Iran, Iraq. If you remember the 80s, you remember the Iran-Iraq war. It was a Cold War versus I don't know if you remember that. I remember it like it was yesterday. And do you remember when, especially after they had kicked out Mossadegh and put the so-called Shah in there? Well, Iran right now has probably got one of the most important nuclear technological things for medicine, which is why they want to go ahead and destroy them, because it's going to destroy United States or Western medical empire. The thing is, if they went ahead and said, look, we're taking our own reparations by the things we produce, by the things we do with others, by the relationships we have with other non-aligned countries. You saw Iraq. Iraq took theirs back and said, look, Remember, if you remember back in the day, it was Sunni against Shia, especially in the 80s, because I knew 2 Iraqis and Iranian that I used to hang around with over there, and they were trying to make them fight each other. Well, you see the fact that now it's like basically one country, okay? They're 2 individuals, one country for one goal, and that's to upset and take whatever money they could off the so-called Western Empire, and they did quite well. You see what Japan did back in the 80s, when Japan had, they were definitely, in terms of liquidity and cash, back in the 60s, everybody used to laugh when we got stuff from Japan. I'll never forget it. Late 60s would be like, made in Japan, ha, 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 ha. Kind of like what they did to China in the early 2000s. Now everything you see and everything that's manufactured is coming from Asia. Like in the 80s, it was, or in the 90s, it was from Japan. So they took theirs back in their production. There is a way to get reparations.
But see, after World War II,
if your mind is colonized, hold on. If your mind is colonized and your frame of reference is somebody else, I would not expect you to be able to think like these other nation states that do have empowered themselves.
Well, I'm not cutting you off. I just want to interject on that point that you made. The Japanese, after World War II, the United States helped their economy get back on track. So it's not like they just came out of the blue and did it on their own. Same thing with Europe and the UK.
The one thing you don't realize, because I'm a frequent visitor to Japan's economy. What Japan did was basically Japan was a hedge. The United States was in there to do things for themselves. The byproduct was Japan saying, okay, we're going to reverse engineer what we can because we know you're going to take it and try to go ahead and you're going to use that as a weapon against us one day. The Japanese knew this. So what they did is they said, we're going to reverse engineer technology so one day we could feed ourselves. It wasn't a thing of, we're waiting for, thank you for the check. Their thing was like, we know exactly what you guys have done because you did it even back in the days when we were fighting Russians. Back when they were fighting over Kuril Islands before World War II. Japan is again, again, if you have a colonized mindset, I ain't mad at, I love you. But the thing is, I got to say, is that's why other nations have empowered themselves because they decolonized and looked within and said, we're taking our reparations this way, like Vietnam has done recently.
The United States did help build Japan's economy after the war, after the nuclear bombing.
I didn't say they didn't help. I said what they did, it was a byproduct of what United States was doing for itself. Japan's so-called assistance.
But whatever the case was, if it weren't for the United States, it wouldn't have been built back up, and they wouldn't have let the Japanese into the Western economy. And now with Iraq,
if it weren't for the United States, they wouldn't have been bombed in the first place.
Yeah, but again, but where would they have been at with the economy though? It's just like Russia. See, the small hats control but hold up, the small hats control the economy. That's why they put the sanctions on Russia. They united and said you can't have this anymore. That's how they
you see what happened with Russian ruble. You see what's going on with the Russian ruble right now. You see what's going on with the Russian gas reserve. They're trying to put a gas cap on Russia because Russia made so much money because of sanctions, and now the so-called Western like Germany's and trying to go back to coal because they know that they're going to be cold this winter. I don't want to take this. This is a different conversation for an economist type of level. So I don't want to take your time, brother Forecast. But I'm just going to tell you this much. I'm going to tell you this much. Japan. You said where would Japan would have been before those bombs? Remember, Japan was getting resources for itself.
I said without the United States repairing their economy. That's where would they have been at, and without letting them into the U.S. market. With
That's a statement for the what ifs. But I'm gonna tell you this much.
The answer is they would have been nowhere. That's the answer.
Well, you don't know that because it didn't happen. That's like if a tree falls in the forest, doesn't make a sound.
But if it had happened, we know what would have happened. But let me address the Iraq point real quick. Now they put Saddam Hussein in control of Iraq in order for him to take out Iran. And then when that didn't happen, they went and took his situation out. They're gonna attack Iran in the future, because they took down all the other enemies except for Syria. That didn't work out too well, but they're looking to take out Iran. So you can bet that.
You do know what happened to the Natanz reactor with Stuxnet, and you do know what happened last week with another hack in the reactor. They've been attacking Iran. They've never stopped since.
Yeah, that's why they're taking it. That's why they put Saddam Hussein to do it, and he failed, and that's why they're taking so long to do it, because Iran is a big mountainous country, so they just can't run into it like that.
All right. So listen, y'all, and by the way, y'all, that was a great conversation because I learned a lot, and I'm pretty sure a lot. So none of y'all have to apologize for nothing y'all saying, because people is definitely learning, and a lot of people don't know a lot of this information, and you never know who it could help. You know what I'm saying? So just so we don't be on here crazy long, Bakari, learning curve guy, y'all got anything to say? Because I'm gonna get into the history part, and then we're gonna wrap it up.
Nah, I'm good, brother. Good, brother.
Go ahead and get into the history forecast. Then I'm gonna keep you on here a long time.
Yeah, all right, Bakari, you gonna be asleep before I finish the history part, probably. All right, we're gonna move on. And that was a great conversation, and we could keep it going, and y'all can interject anytime. But I know we kind of got off topic, you know what I'm saying? But it was a great conversation. But we're talking about the reparations, you know what I'm saying? So one thing I wanted to explain to y'all, the 14th Amendment, you know what I'm saying? Now y'all look up the slaughterhouse cases and how it affected the 14th Amendment, right? So the 14th Amendment was let me see, I think it was no state shall make or enforce laws which shall abridge on privileges or immunity of citizens. And they try to put this with the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment, you know what I'm saying? But they don't tell you that the 14th Amendment was overturned. And y'all interject if y'all know anything different and teach me something that I don't know, you know. So if y'all look up the slaughterhouse cases, you know what I'm saying? This was about the way that farms got rid of pigs and stuff, you know what I'm saying? Now, like I said, this conversation has to do with the reparations, and 14th Amendment is a part of that. So if y'all look up the slaughterhouse cases, it's telling you that it overturned the 14th Amendment, and so pretty much states can do anything that they want to do, pretty much. And that's what the argument with the states' rights stuff and all of that. All right, so the next thing here, and forgive me for it, it's out of order and all of this. So all right, so when it comes to the reparations, right? So this is what Black people was talking about when I was saying the no taxes thing. Black people were saying no taxation without representation. This was a particular thing in Vermont, you know what I'm saying, where they challenged the thing in the 1840s, and they created an organization. They often went up to there. And all of this started even before, like during the 1780s, during the Revolutionary War. Okay, so what is the next thing? All right, so okay, yeah. The Land Grant Acts, you know what I'm saying? All of this is a part of reparations. And like I said, y'all can jump in anytime y'all want to if y'all got to interrupt, but I just wanted to go through the history part. As far as reparations, saying like we're gonna go do a quick HR 40 thing real quick. So the Land Grant
One of the
Acts,
most important pieces of legislation in the history of our country, the Morrill Land Grant Act of 1862. Named for Vermont Congressman Justin Morrill and signed by President Abraham Lincoln.
And somebody brought up Abraham Lincoln earlier because all of y'all John Brown fans.
Abraham Lincoln was black.
And all of y'all John Brown fans and JFK fans, you know what I'm saying? The original JFK right here, you know what I'm saying?
The act gave federal lands to the states that
over the last 150 years in areas like agriculture and engineering.
In 1863, Penn State became one of the nation's first and Pennsylvania's only land grant institution. The Morrill Act
for people to transition their lives.
Service.
What it did is it made higher education available and relevant for the children of the working class of the Commonwealth and every state across the country. It made an opportunity for people to transition their lives through education. And
all right, so the Morrill Land Grant Act was one of the most important things that helped them build white education systems. Okay, so we have that. And how Black people, okay, so this was a part of the Homestead Act. So I just used Martin Luther King's speech, you know what I'm saying? But if you don't know about the Landstead Act, you know what I'm saying, where they gave away millions of acres of land and stuff, and there were Black people who applied for this kind of stuff and they got denied and all of that. So,
Peasants from Europe with an economic refused to give the Negro any land. Through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents.
Now, listen, they gave them the land. They had to be on the land for like a certain amount of years. They had to raise the land up and stuff like that. And then they didn't, and they were paid to do this, you know, and then they got the land for free. And then today, many people still own the land. And then at a point, they got paid not to farm so that these big corporations can make money. So they still get, you know, paid for that. But, you know, of course, I think a couple thousand black people tried to apply, but most black people got denied, you know. And this built the white middle class.
Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. And this is what we are faced with, and this is the reality. Now, when we come to Washington in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
No, y'all heard that. Y'all heard Bukhari. Y'all heard
Yep.
I said Bukhari.
They didn't want him talking about that kind of talk, especially going into the 1970s.
Hey, you know who he was with made him change his talking points, right?
Yo, I'm not gonna lie, Bukhari. Yo, Martin Luther King had a how can I put this in a nice way? Like a bipolar record. He did a lot of gangster stuff, but then he did a lot of want to be accepted stuff.
But at this point in his career right here, he had started hanging with him and Kwame Ture had become real cool. That's when he started changing. That's when he started talking about the war in Vietnam. He had become real cool with Kwame Ture. That's when some of his stuff had started changing. Back to trying to be gangster again. Yeah.
Yeah, it went up and down too, because you know he did a lot of gangster stuff even before the civil rights movement, before he got known, and that's a part of the reason why people was following him, because he was doing some like kind of like his name was ringing bells at a point, but then you know people have their conspiracies, and you know.
I wouldn't say that Kwame Ture was gangster, you know.
You wouldn't?
Hey, you don't have to say it. You probably don't know much.
Well, I know he was a Caribbean, probably had some East Indian in him too.
And that's cool. But I'm gonna say again,
something. My dad was a friend of Kwame Stokely Carmichael. He stayed at our house before he left. Matter of fact, they were at the church with my mom and dad. It was kind of like a little place with a little table. I thought it was at the house. And he came up and he told us back there, I'll never forget this. He said, brothers and sisters, I have to leave because they're after me now. I got to carry on the fight for you guys in Africa. Now, I'll never forget that conversation. As a matter of fact, I think my mom put it in her book. So in order for you to say that, hard cold, clearly I think you might want to do some reading or talk to some folks that knew him or knew of him that were very close. I'll never forget that. I was a child, but I never forget he was at our table. So for you to say
what,
that,
he grew up in a rich area and had nothing but white friends. You know
okay, that's cool. Hey, MG2, I'm gonna tell you, you just called him Stokely Carmichael. His ex.
That's
why
I knew him when
I know. I'm saying this jokingly. Hey, I'm saying this jokingly.
Yeah.
But his ex will tell you, you cannot call him Stokely. You better call him Kwame because that's her Stokely. See, I know his ex and his oldest stepdaughter, so they live about 10 miles from me. So I don't care who he grew up with. I'm talking to hardcore now. I don't care who he grew up with or what he grew up around.
Well, like you should care.
You better. It don't even matter because I know about him.
Hey, hardcore, would you do what he did? What Stokely Carmichael did? Would you do it?
What's that? Go to Africa?
No, just make speeches in front of you know, like just anywhere, you know.
Yeah, for the right reasons. I mean, I see some of his speeches from the 60s.
For Black Power, would you make those speeches?
Well, I mean, it depends on how you got. See, you just can't say for Black Power. You got to define what that is. And for him, I saw his 60s speeches. They were kind of emotional and kind of like almost like begging and crying instead of having a plan. But see, he grew up privileged in this country. He didn't grow up some broke Black American trying to find his way in life. He was privileged and rich, went to private schools.
Bro, every Black, what are you talking about? What? I ain't go to private schools, but I wasn't poor. What are you talking about? Black people try to find their way in the this is a whole system designed not to know your way. You have
but I'm saying he knew where he was coming from, and he knew white people. Those were his friends. He had no Black friends.
I don't know about when he was a kid, but I know when he was grown.
Yeah, Brother Bakari. I mean, it's surreal because when they said no black friends, there was nobody but black folk at my mom's table. Okay,
No, I
and
said
for him to say,
when he was growing up.
well, whatever. Well, what I'm
Well,
saying is,
whatever you
he
call it,
said,
whatever, but it's the truth, man.
Right, but I
whatever.
mean that
He was at my table, and he said, "Brothers and sisters, I'm gonna fight for you in Africa because I know if I can't do it there, they're gonna take me out here." That much I know. If he's saying, "Hey," even if the perception was just heightened fear, he said, "I'm still gonna fight for you guys." Now, irrespective of what someone else thinks or wants to do, I remember that all too well. And I don't think any one of us, especially certain individuals in this chat, will not do the same for you guys. Pass the mic.
Let
I'm just
Harco. I mean, go ahead, Learn Curve.
I'm just gonna say he did what a black intellectual is supposed to do. Even though his parents may have raised him around white people and he had white friends as a kid growing up, he was not a full on byproduct of that experience because he had something or some experience that triggered him to know and understand that his job was to go and get the information and go back and set the captives free. He knew that he was supposed to go and take the resources and information that he had, and even if he had to spoon feed it to these people with their mouths being held open, that he was going to get that information to his people. So I
Well,
don't care.
we weren't his people. Number one, that's part of the reason why he was put up. And two, what information what did he actually do? Enlighten me.
What do you mean? What people did he you said who put him up? Who put him up where?
Yeah, I mean, you got to understand these educated people.
Okay.
Well, I don't even want to go there because I know you're
But
going to.
Harco, listen though,
Wait a
listen.
minute. Let me ask, let me ask. So watch this. So for the
But
algorithm.
hold on, before you interrupt, because I was asking her a question. What did he actually do?
He did many things. He helped with SNCC. He was instrumental in trying to help people understand how to change their situation in life. And sometimes you have to continue to meet people where they are. And for a lot of people, it mattered that they couldn't drink at a water fountain that had cold water. For a lot of people, it mattered that they couldn't eat in those stores that had them pretty cake. For a lot of people at that time, it mattered. There were things that mattered to them. Now, he had, I believe, and in reading and reviewing some of his information, greater goals because he understood what it meant to be an ambassador because he put on that costume sometimes when he would go out. I understand that he continue to learn and know different things about the way that the laws of this country work and trying to bring that information to the people so that they can understand because you can't help somebody that doesn't understand where they are. So between education and social upliftment, he did a lot for people at that time.
Let me tell you this right. What you ain't gonna read. Okay, when she say SNCC, you know what? That's the original Black Panther Party. So he became the leader of the original Black Panther Party. He did. Something else you ain't gonna read when when black folks was fighting, because I know a lot of folks think black folks didn't fight back, especially down south. Well, when he was in Greenwood, Mississippi, see, I grew up around these type of folks. I ain't meet him, but I grew up with these type of folks because of my. So when the preacher was riding, police was following them. They normally by themselves. Kwame. See, what folks don't know was who else? How many other black men you know who wouldn't from Mississippi would have been scared and had a standoff with the police with his gun in his hand and telling them they ain't gonna do nothing to no black folks in that car while he there. So you say what he did a whole lot. So you can read about what he did when who he grew up around when he was a little boy. But people change, people see things, and people change.
But what between the two of you, you guys said a lot, but you didn't really tell me what he actually did.
Learner Curve, didn't he help like children? Like he was a part of like programs that helped like children, like with food programs or something like that.
And
Yeah, I think right. The reading and literacy programs in different communities. Yeah.
Oh,
Harco, have you done that? Harco, have
Well,
you
see, it's
been a part of?
not about what I did.
He did more than me. I haven't done that. He did more than me.
Okay, well, check this out, though. I think what he did do was like his fellow Caribbean Marcus Garvey trying to Africanize our minds.
So hardcore, would you go out there and make a black power? Like, would you bring like black power, like kind of?
Again, I'm more detail oriented. I don't just
So
go
no.
around
So the
screaming.
answer is
But
no.
hold on, let me answer.
That's the answer is
I
no.
don't just go around arbitrarily screaming Black Power, because to me, I
So
think
no, you wouldn't.
But listen, I think that's silly. That's why I don't really go around
Okay, what
saying
does
that.
black power mean?
And you answer that question.
No, hold on. No,
I
I
know
will
exactly
answer.
what
No,
it
wait,
means.
time out, Bakari. Are you black?
Yeah.
Do you think you
Okay.
should have power?
What was that?
Do you think you should have power?
Of course.
So you believe in black power?
Yeah.
So would you go out there and make a speech about black power?
But it has to be defined. What black
So you
power
wouldn't do. So you wouldn't do
What
what
have to be
Bakari
defined
just
for?
did.
What have to be defined, Alphon? Black power.
That's not good enough for me.
So I'm going to define it
Wait,
for you. Black
time out,
power.
Bakari, because you just defined it. Would you like power?
No, I didn't
Yes or
define
no?
it. I accept
Would you
it.
like to control
But
your
that was the
water?
definition.
No, time out, Bakari. Would you like to control your water and stuff like that? Like, the water crisis we got in black people in America, speaking strictly of America, don't you think we should have like power over that?
Well, I mean, it's very.
That's black power, right?
Well, I mean, if you can control it, then it is black power. But if you
So would
can't,
you go out there and speak black power?
no, I don't believe in speaking in
Okay,
speeches.
so you wouldn't do what he would do.
Come on. Let me answer. I believe we got to do it, not just
But
put
he
a rally
did it
together.
though. But he made progress. Don't you believe in Don't you think helping black kids eat is a part of being powerful, empowering?
Well, I don't know if he did that or not, but if that is, that's probably the only thing he did do that people can actually name.
That was off the top of the head, bro.
Because
You know what?
I tried to
There's
figure out.
really no need to try to name anything to people like him because his whole goal is to want to say.
No,
well,
that's not
they
my
didn't
goal.
do
You
it.
can't tell me what my goal is.
But the point,
yes, I can. I just said it because
but
I
the
wasn't telling
wait.
you. I was talking to forecast. Because so watch this. So people like him, their whole goal is to distract and tell you what somebody didn't do,
I
regardless
get it.
of
I get
what
what
they
you're
see
saying,
them do.
but it's also a lesson in this though. But have you done that? What he has done is just because you said it's just maybe.
I don't believe in that method.
So you
I
don't
believe
think
I believe in method that actually gets results.
Oh, so what method have you done?
Well, I can't explain that on the air.
Well, he could explain. He could explain it in front of everybody. So,
Okay.
go ahead, because we gotta move on. Go ahead.
Brother Forecast, can I interject something real quick? And I'm glad. This is why I love you, Hardcore, because you give me some kind of ideas. I'm like, this brother gives me ideas. You said something like Africanize, like Marcus Garvey. They try to Africanize our minds. I don't know if you were saying it in a disparaging way or if you were saying it in a way to make us proud. I take the former. It wasn't necessarily a positive thing. Now, I'm not Chinese. I'm not white. I'm not Arab. I'm definitely not East Indian. Now, I know that when I look in the mirror, there's an African. So I'm thinking, why would it be a bad thing to Africanize an African? Now, maybe it is to you and others that are like in your ideology. I understand. I'm not mad. I understand. But it only makes common sense that Marcus Garvey and Kwame Ture would Africanize an African because that's who we are. Number two, a lot of you guys don't know this, but this is very close to Brother Forecast. See, Kwame Ture was actually, I think he started the Loudons County Freedom Organization. And a lot of that was part economic. Now, because we had a lot of individuals who didn't want their Africanized minds, because of that, well, if we look at Loudons County over there right now and kind of see the result of what non-Africanization has done, because Kwame Ture, I believe, was the founder of that, or he was very heavily involved. And I think had he not been run out, whether he's Caribbean, Guyanese, or whatever others that don't want us to have African minds, regardless of what that is, had he not been run out, I don't think that their sewage and septic tanks would be running over at this present day. And I think Brother Forecast could attest to that. I'll pass the mic.
Well, he didn't really do anything to avert anything that happened to us in the future. And again, he didn't have us in mind because, again, he was another Caribbean, dare I say, agent. And he was, you can see,
Ignorance is bliss.
And he actually has East Indian heritage, and you can see that all over.
You say is Indians are black, bro?
Ignorance is bliss.
Then you say is Indians are black?
But I said he has East Indian heritage.
But is Indians black?
Not in the mind, but yeah.
So the person who said black power wasn't black power in the mind? But you wouldn't say black power,
Well,
but
I'm
you
saying,
are black
no.
power in your
Let
mind.
me restructure that.
Yeah,
The
you
man,
should
the man
respect it.
formerly known as Stokely Carmichael, who changed his name to Kwame Ture, moved to Africa or ran to Africa. He wasn't really African per se. He was part African or so, and East Indian.
Okay, I have a question. I have a question. If you are a black person and you see other black people, right, suffering, living in a way that is below the possibility of privilege that they have access to, they just have to decide to want to fight for it. Would you try to help them? Would you try to elevate their thinking and cultivate in them a new idea for themselves, a new dream for themselves, especially when dealing with the African Americans in America where they're functioning as third class citizens or resident inhabitants and still operating as chattel of these white people that you encounter?
Let me explain where I'm at. I believe in building up your group first, then dealing with others, not dealing with others first and then trying to figure out if they and hope that they actually deal with your group. It's like Jamaicans. They deal with their groups first and then they come and try to sabotage us when they can. Like Royale said she wanted to kill me earlier. That's not black power. That's not pan Africanism. That's not understanding. So, you got to demonstrate these things for me in order for people like me to buy in with that. You just can't say, okay, I disagree with you. I want to kill you. You know what I mean? Me, solve your problem in each section first. Then unity can come between all different black peoples. Like Jamaicans, instead of harassing us, they should try to unite with the Caribbean and Hispanic Caribbeans and try to make them be black or African instead of harassing us with that.
Hey, let me show you the contradiction in what he said compared to what he said earlier. This same dude sitting here talking about how he want reparations and a check, then just turn around talking about how you should fix yourself. How the hell? Which one is it? Do you want them to give you reparations, or are you gonna fix yourself? Which one is it?
I wasn't talking in the constant
I'm just asking, which one is it?
Listen, I wasn't talking about reparations.
Okay, but which one is it? Because you said you should fix yourself.
There's no
So
which
which one is
one.
it? Which one do you want?
I
You
was
want them to
addressing.
give you a check because we know you're waiting on a check, or do you think you can build yourself up?
That over talking stuff doesn't work here, but
all I did was ask you a question.
Yeah, but you asked it 2-3 times. I mean,
because you ain't answered it yet.
Well, I mean, I can't answer while you're talking. All right. Now, I was answering the lady's question of what she asked, not what you asked, or not what you try to conflate.
I know. So then I just ask a question.
Yeah, you asked the BS question.
No, you said you gonna build yourself up. Y'all gonna get y'all little crew, and y'all gonna build yourself up. But then on the other hand, you need which one is it? You need the reparation to build yourself up, or you gonna get your little crew and y'all gonna build yourself up?
I answered the question that she asked.
Hey, Hardcore, I got a question for you. Okay, so we got to fix ourselves first. I agree with you. You know what I'm saying? Let's do this, Lawrence County, Alabama. Now, okay.
But
So
let me be clear. We got to fix ourselves before we worry about some other black people.
Right. Black people in America, right?
No, yeah, black Americans.
Right. Yeah, black Americans, right? Yeah.
But not imported.
Right. Black people from America are that have been here for 50,000 years, right?
Whatever, however long it's been.
Okay, now Stokely Carmichael made a program that fed black people from America that's been here for 50,000 years. Have you done more than him?
I'll say nobody asked until you should have worried about his Caribbean people.
But I was just asking, have you done more than him? That was the question.
I'm not known, so apparently I haven't.
No, I'm asking you. If you say yes, I'm gonna just say, "Oh, okay, that's what's up." I'm gonna just accept.
If you give me some numbers that you can go by about what he did, then I can probably.
Well, they made programs. You know what I'm saying? If you look up, like Bakari mentioned, you said SNCC, but it was like in Lawrence County, Alabama. They was like kind of like the original Black Panther. They created the original thing. He was a part of that, and his own thing. He like it's like whole like he like speeches and documentaries and everything about stuff he did. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, I gotta see the data on that.
But have you fed one? Have you fed? Okay, so say he fed one.
Yeah, I fed one.
Okay, so cool.
Matter of fact, I fed a few.
Oh, you fed a few.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's not related to you.
Yep. And some of them are women that I invited over my house.
Yeah, I think. All right,
So
y'all. So
what
it's
did the
Super
black
Late, y'all.
Aboriginal? What did y'all do? So y'all native. How
Now
many
we don't.
people
I
did
don't want
y'all
to get
feed?
into that kind of
How many
discussion.
people did y'all feed during
That's
the
not what this is
pandemic?
about. That's not what
Yes,
this
it
is
is.
about.
How many
No,
people
no.
did y'all feed during the pandemic?
Well, you got to ask them.
I'm talking to you. How many did you
Well,
feed during the
I have no
pandemic?
idea. I have no idea.
None. I'm just asking.
Like I said, I just answered.
Gave them paper towel, toilet paper.
See, this is the
Something that
Negro
they
type of
need
argument. When you give them an answer, they want to keep going on and on and
that the
on
stores were running
try
out of.
to try to prove you wrong or something.
I'll just ask a question. So you
Yeah,
didn't.
but
So you.
I just answered
So
it.
you have. So you
You
didn't
don't
do
have
nothing.
you don't have to continue to
So you
repeat it.
didn't. So you didn't do anything.
You can't suggest an answer. I gave you
No.
the answer.
So you didn't do anything.
Why?
All right.
Who told me I should have done something?
All right, y'all. It's super late, y'all. I'm super over time, y'all. All right, GI Bill. Okay, reparations, right? Get back on topic. You know what I'm saying? And learning curve. If you want to jump in. MG2. Anybody, y'all, any of y'all on here?
I see Mr. Untouchable's comment. That's kind of funny. I'll give it to you.
I can't see it.
He said he feeds them Big Macs. That's
Why you skip the other one when he asked what the chief running bird do for the black native aboriginal?
because that's what I call a nigga question. That's why.
Well, at least he's saying it with an A. So, all right. And GI Bill, y'all.
Following World War II, the GI Bill helped build America's middle class, but that ladder of economic opportunity was wrongly denied to many black veterans. Now, some members of Congress want to correct this historical error. Here is CBS's David Martin.
Denied, forgotten until now.
Vanessa Brooks' father, Lawrence, served in the Pacific during World War II.
We built bridges, roads, and airstrips for planes to land.
At 112, he is believed to be the oldest living veteran and one of more than 1 million African Americans who served in the war and supposedly qualified for the housing and education benefits of the GI Bill.
Thousands and thousands of black veterans were denied their GI Bill benefits.
Dartmouth historian Matthew Delmont.
Veterans had to go to their local Veterans Administration offices. These were staffed almost exclusively by white officials, and this was a particular problem in the South.
So what specifically were they denied?
They were denied access to mortgages, and they were denied college tuition to be able to go to college and earn degrees that could help them get good jobs afterwards.
All right, so if y'all not sure about what the GI Bill is, y'all do that, okay, so the taxation without representation, that keep coming up, that's what a lot of the people was talking about, it wasn't necessarily because people say they died for the right to vote. First of all, they was killed while people was trying to vote, but they was talking about taxation without representation. And from the very beginning, they were saying, they was using their own slogans, death, liberty without death or something like that. Death, liberty, you know that quote. All right. Now, so on to the massacres, and I just skipped tonight to the Rosewood massacre to sum up all of it. But I want you to hear what this lady said in her in this documentary, and she was one of the Rosewood survivors. You know what I'm saying?
I'm bringing back memory that I wished I could get rid of. You know what I mean? This has been a hobby. If you just had been here to listen to all this and see some of it, then you would have known just what it was. We lost everything.
Lost everything.
You own the land?
Yeah, we own our land, all of them.
And no one ever paid you any money for this land?
No.
Just lost it.
Took it.
And there you go, Harco. Took it. You're talking about how can somebody take something?
Took it.
What do you say?
Now listen to this question and listen to her answer. This is the part I wanted y'all to hear.
Took it.
What do you say to children today? Children like this boy, like your great-grandson, and people who didn't grow up when you grew up, and people who didn't go through what
Note
you
that he's
went
not
through.
half white.
People who would say
he's not half white.
Yeah.
This couldn't have happened in this country. Come on.
I would tell them like this. I said, don't ever stay in a place that white folks can surround it. Don't never stay in a place that white folks can surround you. Because if anything happens some ways else, they'll run you out from your home just like they did us.
Now that was important. I gotta let her speak this one more time just to pay homage to her. She passed away. This was from 1983, you know, but this was to pay homage to her, or respect to her.
Place that white folks can this. I said, don't ever stay in a place that white folks can surround it. Don't never stay in a place that white folks can surround it. Because if anything happens some ways else, they'll run you out from your home just like they did us.
All right. Lorna Kerr, what you got to say about that one?
I want to, my family, on my father's side, my grandfather was a veteran, and they denied him GI Bill benefits. They didn't let him go to college. They actually, my grandmother on that side actually had to fight for over 18 years to get his benefits because he died, and they didn't want to give her benefits. So they are always doing things to African Americans to try to disenfranchise us. And I feel her on what she's saying, but like looking at it from the perspective of why were they able to take her land? Yeah, they just took it. They just came, and whether it was easements or taxes or whatever, there should have been a community that she had with her or around her that was able to help read those papers and those documents or explain these different things to her so that she could fight back. But it just continues to happen over and over and over again, where they victimize the least of our people because we don't come together and take care of our people.
Yeah, facts. MG2 fell off. Bakari Hardcore, y'all got anything to say before we go to the last couple trip?
I had the GI Bill, but that was this my day and age. Back then, I imagine they did deny people schooling and everything with the GI Bill. And even today, on those, in all honesty, it's not the GI Bill, but you can get the VA loan when you buy your house and you don't have to pay no money down. Trust me, it's the same stuff. The same stuff still go on in 2022 where you're supposed to get help or whatever when you get in your house or whatever benefit it is they offer. Uh, the same stuff still the same stuff still go on. Same stuff still go on today. Even with if y'all know anybody that ever been in the military, uh talk to the black folks and see how hard it was for them to even get their disability benefits when they got out. It's very hard. And then they make it illegal for you to keep your medical records. So since they made it illegal to keep your medical records, you got to depend on them to have it. So I didn't have my medical records. It's very, very hard. My feet got messed up in. I had a nephew went over to shit. What was this about 10 years ago? He would be about 33. He died. He was 23. Something got in his system over there in the Middle East, and he came back. The VA told him it was a boil on the bottom of his foot for about 6 months straight. So he finally went to another doctor, and the doctor told him he was about a month too late. It was cancer, and it had spread throughout his body, and the VA didn't know what he was doing. And lo and behold, they even lost his medical records. One time they claimed the building they keep all the medical records had completely burned down. They don't know how to get nobody medical records. So they still do this same. They still do this same bullshit today in the 21st century.
Yeah, whenever you hear government losing records, you know something's fishy because they just don't lose records like that unless they want them lost. But as far as that Rosewood, she said don't let them surround you. But if you notice, white people always grab up all the land on the coast next to lakes and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of rough and hard to find those kind of lands. But when they want to take it gangster style, they'll take it. You know what I mean? No matter what, because they have the advantage. You can keep on fighting and then maybe hold them off. But like that Africa and Philly, the movement, they were willing to bomb the entire neighborhood and make a whole lot of people homeless just to teach a few people a lesson. And that's sad. That's why if you are gonna engage, you gotta want to go all out. Or if you ain't going all out, you ain't really doing nothing. So I'm done with that.
Yeah, he
Can
was
I
a black.
interject something?
Yeah. And it was a black mayor too. I just wanted to say that. But go ahead.
Thanks, brother Forecast. I was going to say that it was a Negro mayor that actually bombed the whole thing in order to prove whatever.
He was indigenous.
Oh, okay. Thanks, brother Bakari. I needed that clarification. I had a whole military family, basically. My dad, my uncles, all of them. And the stories that I heard from all of them, in terms of and I say their military because it definitely isn't ours. Clearly, but what I'm hearing about VA, because my dad fought to the very day his life was ended to try to get whatever benefits he was owed, and so was a good friend of his. And I was right there as they were fighting, and they didn't get anything. But from their so-called World War I with my granddad, they were actually kidnapping brothers off the streets of Philly and putting them over there in the trenches. It wasn't a thing of like, this patriotic or I'm looking for a college loan. It was like, and if you ever do your research on the so-called Daughters of the DAR, Daughters of America, Republican, whatever, a lot of the reasons why those brothers were in these so-called wars all the way up to Vietnam is because these Peckerwoods, these Beckys were saying, we don't feel safe with these Negroes here while our boys are out there fighting for freedom or whatever nonsense that they said. This is what my granddad was telling us. The things that they would do, because I had an uncle that was kidnapped and conscripted, excuse me. They would Shanghai you, and next thing you know, you were in a trench somewhere in France. And they would give them wooden sticks because, of course, they were not going to give black folks real guns, because they know the real black folks are going to use it to go ahead and shoot whoever kidnapped, whether it was kidnapping them 500 years ago or what they did to my uncle in Philly. And the thing is, in other words, these brothers would be in the trenches fighting Germans, World War I, with sticks. And they were so, quote unquote, valiant, as the United States would like to say. No, it was that they were trying to save their own lives. My uncles, Ike and Rob, fought in Korea. And when I say fought, and I mentioned this before. Again, they didn't get their VA, or at least the extent of their businesses. Uncle Henry literally had to go ahead and try to kill a cracker. They finally gave him enough to buy a house. And he was the one who was in World War I, or it's their World War, their so-called World War. In Korea, Uncle Ike and Rob, they were the Peckerwoods said, "Hey, we're gonna have to put you guys on point." They were twins, and matter of fact, I looked like one of them. They put them on point on the hill to fight, and the Uyghurs came down. I did a whole thing about what happened. They were up there smoking weed, and these Uyghurs. It wasn't North Korea. It was these Chinese Uyghurs who actually were the ones who actually kicked the crap out of United States and made them walk literally in the Yellow River. And my uncles were at that battle. They were on the hill smoking weed, and then they heard this ram's horn, looked like something out of like Lord of the Rings, and they saw these dudes coming down that looked like turn of the century of 10 centuries ago coming down. My uncle offered them some weed and some food. The guy just, and then when I say offered him, he said, just kind of motioned, "Hey, do you want some of this?" Because what had happened is their so-called commanding officers said, "We put all the N-words on point." In other words, you guys are out here to go ahead and draw the enemy out, and if you die, you die. So be it. The thing is the Uyghurs went down the hill, and next thing you know, commanding officers, white boys, with the Uyghurs' heads strapped to their waists, like a trophy. They were walking up the hill, and my uncle and them and a couple of good brothers went ahead and said, "Hey, this ain't ours. This ain't our war. You guys want to get high?" And the Uyghurs just waved away. This is what the so-called VA, what they don't tell you. My other uncle fought in the so-called World War II, and my dad was like at the very end of that. What they did over there, Bob Hope and all these other Peckerwoods, they would go in and do these USO shows. And the USO shows they would do is they would have brothers, like what it was in rank, you would have the front, and it would go all the way up in rank to the bleachers, to the nosebleed section. So in the front were all the generals and all the colonels and upper brass, whatnot. And as you go up the bleachers, you would have your privates and whoever else. Now, underneath the bleachers, they would always put the Negroes, okay? Because it was like, you ain't gonna watch this, Marlena Dietrich or any one of these, our lily white Peckerwoods, you guys know you can't be watching that. But here's how insidious these bastards are. when one of my uncles came back, because if you ever watch the thing about I think it's a something Red Line or something like that, and they had it was a John Wayne or something movie, and it was about this truck that went over and it was like it was like this truck that was bringing supplies or whatever, and made and they glamorized that. Well, that was black folk that did it. It was brothers that did that. They were the ones who were the runners because they were the ones getting shot first, always being put on point. So what had happened is when he got back, they would actually send the brothers out there to do extra tours of duty because they didn't want their the little white boys. And this is from the so-called DAR because they were campaigning and complaining about this. The little Becky's back, the little Karens back at home were like, you got to send them inwards out there to get killed first. And that's exactly what their so-called military did. So what happened is when my uncle got back after doing 2 tours, they would only get a certain amount of money in their pockets. Now back then, $7 was everything you had, especially if you were black. That was like, $7 was like the world. And so they would get back and they would get in line to go through, to try to get the so-called Red Cross, which is, it's the red Nazi symbol. And here's what the so-called Red Cross did. They would take the week's salary or whatever it is, you got $10 in your pocket, you're paying for that for some coffee, some cigarettes, and some donuts. Because that's what they would do. Because the reasoning was that they didn't want my uncles and some of the folks to go back out there with money because the Germans would probably use it if they got captured. That was their reason. But what they did is they would charge them $10, $15 for donuts and coffee. And then the donuts and coffee they would give them, this is how insidious their so-called military is. Remember I told you in rank that they would get the colonels and everybody at the front so they could get a good seat, courtside seats to Bob Hope shows and stuff like that, and work their way back. Well, next to these colonels and whatnot were the same damn Germans that were captured by black males that would capture them. They were sitting around, reasoning being is these crackers in the United States would say, we want you guys to see how good you can have it if you join our side. So you had these Nazi commanders or whatnot sitting there watching these shows. And in the meantime, while my uncles and everybody else were paying $10, $15 a donut or whatever food they could, the food that they ate was leftover shit that the Germans didn't want to eat. This is what our black folk don't know. My dad went to the grave telling me this, like every other week. He would tell me, yeah, they would have to eat leftovers, and they were paying their week's salary to go ahead and eat half-eaten donuts and half-drunk coffee from these Nazis. This is something that is just the beginning. My mom's husband, who was in Vietnam, told me about what had happened to him and his boys. When they were out on point, right in the middle of the sticks, they made the black soldiers call if they heard something way out in the sticks. The crackers would have to call in because they were like, well, you might be shooting some friendlies or whatever the hell it is. No, this is putting black folks in. They were on point right out there to be killed. I'll never forget this. A good friend of my mom's husband, Boo, he was supposed to be out on duty that night, or he was out, and this is out in the middle of the sticks in Vietnam. They were grunts. He was supposed to be out there, but he went ahead and switched with one of the brothers that was over there. One of the brothers was like, hey, I got some, I want some R&R or whatever, I'm short. Hey, let's do this. He's out in the middle of the goddamn sticks, taking over Boo's place. So he goes ahead and does things by protocol that white boys don't have to do. He hears some stuff on the other line right out in the sticks, and he goes up to pick up the phone, and Boo was on the other end of the line. He says, hey, permission to whatever, and that was it. Next day, they were picking up pieces of them off the trees. Anybody that doesn't think that their VA or their whatever is going to try to do us right, or does think that they're going to do us right, I got some stories to tell you that if we're not looking out for self, protecting ourselves, and building our own military, I don't care how we do it, then we don't have a chance or a prayer in this world. I'll pass the mic.
All right. So, all right, I'm gonna show the last things, and then y'all can say everything that's on your mind before we close it out. So let me show this last thing because I was supposed to have been off like midnight.
Man, can't you do like another hour, man?
I could.
2 hours? Yeah, go stay up like another 2-3 hours.
Yeah, I could, Bakari, but you couldn't though. That's the thing. All right, so all right, so listen, all right, so we was talking about it earlier in Newark, the Newark riots of 1967. Now, if y'all don't know, there was more violence and more riots in 1967, and Martin Luther King got assassinated in 1968, and there was the Martin Luther King riots, but there was more riots in 1967 because there was the one crowd that turned the other cheek crowd, but then there was the other crowd that's saying, yo, you better do it or else. If you don't listen to the turn the other cheek crowd, then you got the we gonna smack you back crowd. And people don't realize for more history than not, black people was on some, we will shoot back, we will hit back. There should be a rifle in every person's home, you know. And I think this was the riot. I'm not sure. No, the Washington one, where the people shut out the rooftops and stuff. But I'm not going through this because it was already too late. But y'all look up the Newark riots, but the riots of 1967. All right. And then so listen, this is another brother, Bakari. We will shoot back. I think he took the other brother's stuff, but I just want to show this part of it, you know.
Topic starts a long time ago when I was a graduate student, and I mentioned to a professor that I wanted to look at armed self-defense in the South. And so I was motivated from that point, but it was really motivated from me being a younger student and going to the South. I was a student activist, and I met Southern activists, and they hit me with different stories than I had heard being a young man growing up in California about the civil rights movement and about the Southern movement in particular. I had no idea that Black people were engaged in activity to defend themselves. And so I wanted to write this book to contribute to a new narrative on the Southern movement and understanding the Southern Black folks in particular. There's a lot of stereotypes and myths, not only about the movement being an exclusively nonviolent movement, but about Southern Black folks, at least in the Black community in the North and the West. It's a thought that Black people in the South were more passive and they took more stuff than anybody else would take. And then We Will Shoot Back really shows and counters that narrative, as well as most Black families, even in the North and the West, and I grew up in California, there are a lot of stories about our elders having to leave the South because of getting involved in some conflict. And
you hear that, Bakari? They smoked somebody, so they left. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't trying to run away or whatever.
My own family, after the book came out, my cousin shared with me 2 stories about 2 of my ancestors who in Louisiana got involved in conflict involving guns. And these are stories that are submerged in most Black families, but we really don't have
that South people didn't just run to the North. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying everybody was hard that went to the North, but they was bodying people. Some of them went North. But this is the original Negroes with guns.
This is Monroe, North Carolina. President Robert Williams, times many.
It would be better to settle these cases violently. I had been able to persuade them that we should use the courts and go into the courts. So this thing had boomeranged, and I was being held responsible for having brought these cases to court. There was a trial where a Negro maid had been kicked down a flight of stairs by a white man, and that this man hadn't even bothered to come to his own trial, and that he had also been acquitted. And there was a demonstration as a result of this in the courtroom by the Negro women of the community. And they had approached me and had said, well, you said that you would see that these people would be punished because through the organization we would have competent counsel, and that if it hadn't been for you, that these people would have been punished. And they wanted to know what I would recommend that they do from then on. And so I recommended that they meet violence with violence, that Negroes must be prepared to repulse attacks, that they must be willing to fight, that they must be willing to die and to kill if necessary, that there was no law, there was no 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution of equal protection in the South, and that therefore they didn't have any deterrent, so they would have to create the deterrent force themselves by meeting violence with violence.
All right, and this is the last thing. This is the Newark Rush riots.
July the 12th,
I'm gonna play like 30 seconds.
The rioting began. It followed the arrest of a Negro taxi driver. A rumor that he had been beaten and even killed got started in the black community, and small gangs of Negroes roamed the streets, breaking into shops and liquor stores. 14 were arrested.
And they lying, by the way.
We were now free to release the story we had been preparing, but sitting on for weeks. That night, on our evening report, WCBS TV News broadcast a 14-minute special report, not just a surface look, but an in-depth profile based on hard facts and figures depicting a city in deep trouble.
Of all dwelling units were not fit to live in. The highest percentage of substandard housing in the nation. And the last 7 years has brought Fiago.
All right, so y'all can look up like I said, y'all can look that up. All right, but that's the last thing. And learning curve been the most quiet. So learning curve, you go first. Y'all, I was gonna show the Detroit one too, Bobby, right? But you know, it's just too much, you know. But learning curve, you've been the quietest, so you can go ahead and go first.
You know, they have us thinking that we are a passive people, and we're not. We shoot back, we strategize, we fight back, we burn their shit down. And unfortunately, many times we don't tell those stories, we don't pass that information on. But when you hear those stories, it resonates with you because it's in you. It's who we are. We are not these passive, lullaby, go to sleep type people. Even in that book that they call their scriptures, it says, the kingdom of heaven suffereth violence, and the violent take it by force. Take back who you are by force if necessary.
Facts. All right, so hardcore into our Demella MD2. Y'all get everything y'all want to say off y'all chest, you know what I'm saying? While we are on here. I ain't gonna be on here long.
Yeah, let me just say, propaganda is a powerful tool, and they use that a lot. But when it comes to
good at propaganda too, I use it a whole lot.
Oh yeah, when they say take it, I notice and it's not an offense to anybody in particular, but I noticed in the chat room and what we just heard, a lot of women love talking about taking things by force and that kind of thing. But there's a reason why the white man has gotten in control of things is because you have to have a plan, you have to have structure. You just can't say, okay, I'm mean, I'm mad, let me go see if I could take something. That's what thugs do on the street, and that's why they keep going to jail. Now, we see with the Queen Elizabeth dying, they kind of pretty up her empire. It's been rebranded as the Commonwealth, but it's still the British Empire because empire sounds worse than Commonwealth. Commonwealth sounds like it's a sharing thing, but empire reminds people that it was taken. They don't talk about any other European monarchies, but there are still some there, but they don't care about them. Now, also, when it comes to the British, they never really tell you how they took the land, except they want you to believe that they tricked people into giving up their land and didn't kill people to take the land. So that happens. So you just can't go around saying that, it's time to take and time to kill.
But hardcore, they definitely trick people though. They killed millions of people, but they definitely trick people though.
Yeah, what's up, Tyron? Yeah, they definitely killed, but see they don't emphasize the amount of killing. See, they'll talk about what Spain, Portugal, Russia, or anybody else did, but the British, they want you to think that they're just so peaceful people, and the U.S. is the one that's doing all the killing. That's just not the way things should be going. And I see Rael's calling me an agent just because she disagrees. So this is why Black people can't have unity, because if you disagree, kill them. And again, it's the females that say, let's go to war. They're trying
That's because we've been waiting and being.
I'll tell you what, if you want to wait, if you don't want to wait, then I say that you get together, get you a strategy going, and go to war. I mean, you don't have to wait around. If I wanted to rob a bank, I'm not gonna say, God damn, I can't find nobody to help me rob a bank. I'm gonna say, God damn it, I want to rob this bank. I'm gonna devise a plan and get to it. That's what you got to do. You can't just say, hey, go out and start the killing. without a
I'm
plan.
not calling for carnage. I don't think that that's, but I hear you.
So hardcore, you pretty much saying it would be like, kind of like unity is like the first step.
Well, yeah, you got to have unity and you got to have a plan. See, all the groups
Right.
that's in charge and who've been in charge, they
So
all have unity. They're all tight.
So the first step would be to like kind of like put aside our tribal differences and stuff like that, right?
I don't know about tribal differences, but I know about social differences, such as
Social differences,
right, such as
like where we come from.
no, that's
No.
beside the point. But more about drug use and
Drug
always
use.
yeah, because that's holding you back. You know what I mean? Drug use, weed smoking all the time, and lack of going to college and getting degrees as a standard because you have to be educated. A lot of people say forget the education, but the people who are in control, they're highly educated in the sciences. How do you think these military weapons get made? Not by idiots, not by weed smoking would-be intellectuals, by people who are really intelligent and trained, even with that royal family out there. They get trained and reared to interact with the public and to not act like they're high and mighty, even though they are high and mighty. So they know how to do it. They know how to interact with people. So you gotta
They
be
act
tight.
like the queen act like she was a high and mighty, or or
Well,
y'all
I
call
mean,
her queen. That bitch act like she was high and mighty.
what I mean is she didn't come out like, God damn it, I'm the queen, kiss my ass, and all that kind of stuff. And you people are
And she
poor.
didn't. And she didn't be like, kiss her ring while she was looking in the face
No,
of
well,
black
no,
people
I'm
all
just
around the world
no,
and stuff
no,
like
no, no.
that. She didn't do that.
That's not what I mean. I'm talking about really. I'm talking about in her own country in particular. She, she didn't come around saying,
we better than this kind of I don't care if you're not an Anglo-Saxon, you're welcome here, you know what I'm saying, in Britain. That's what she said.
I don't know about that, but I'm just trying to say that she didn't go around like a lot of rich people do and say, well, I'm better than you. You people need to work hard and then you can get what I got. That kind of shit.
That's because she has them under a spell. They are all subjects of the crown, and they go about doing their businesses, trying to get the royal stamp on their product because that's more marketing. Everybody there, in some way, shape, form, or fashion, works for the queen. They get between 15 and 25% of the revenues of the country set aside for them. Everybody, they under the gospel of the queen.
Right,
But
because everybody knows that, that's why you got to be careful not to start bragging and putting other people down when you're in control, because then people start resenting things, and then they might want to start, trying to take some kind of action.
Yeah, she sure did put those Negroes on the pedestal. You're right.
Well, I mean, you got to keep in mind she was in control, or was when she was alive, in control of. Yeah, let Tyron on. She was in control of
We
more.
about to he be cutting people off, and we got to get off.
He ain't the only one, so I mean, Bakari cut me off. And
yeah, but he's just like be taking it overboard sometimes, though.
Well, I mean, Bakari wanted to take it there.
I'm sorry for cutting you off, but I got to go myself. See, I had to do that. I just had, for hard cold, I had to do that. So, let me go ahead and cut him off just so he could say, see, 1907, New York pandemic riot. Basically what they were doing is black folk did not want I think it was 1907 or 1917, I can't remember. Black folk didn't want to put a needle in their arm because of this so-called thing that was out, and they literally wrestled black folks up. I remember this one thing. I did a whole video on this where they got the brother, basically they shot one and they pinned one up against the wall and said, you're going to put this needle in your arm. But I just wanted to, because I'm glad you brought up about the 1967 there, Brother Forecast. But see, I don't think we really have, it's a global thing. And when I say it's a global thing, you have to look at 1977 and the Lewisham riots, what they did over in Britain to black folks. Not only that, but if you really want to know, and I believe it was 1947, the Fernwood Park riots of what they did to black folks. I think it was out of Chicago. That was 1947. So it's not just 67. But if you really want to go back, again, overseas, it was the 1957 Nottingham riot. But if you don't want to talk about the 57, you go to the 1987 Tampa Bay riots. And if you don't want to go there, you can go to the 1997 Philadelphia. In other words, these crackers turned their backs on black folks who were marching because we're getting shot down. So if you're talking about the sevens, it's not just any year that ends in seven. This is something that's like a way of life for them. And we could, as I've heard for the last 45, I'm going on 50 years about we got to strategize and you can't do this and, you know, this would be a massacre and whatever. Before I go, as I said before, Miles Davis, at the end of his life, they said, what do you regret the most? And he says, I have not killed a white man. Now, this might be just me. I know it's not hard cold or anyone else, but I'm going to do my best to not be like Miles Davis. You guys can go ahead and pontificate, collaborate, strategize, whatever hard cold says. Hey, power to you. I still love you. You're black. But unlike Miles Davis and many of those that are like that, I'm going to do the best I can to at least get my little pound of flesh one way or the other. Brother Forecast, thank you for having me on there, and peace to all you guys in the chat and the panel. And I'll go ahead and get off. I always love listening to you, Brother Forecast. Hotep, you guys.
Yo, thanks MG2. I appreciate it, my brother. And Antoine DeMello been the most quiet, but Bakari, you was definitely wrong about the North.
No, it wasn't. But anyway, Matron, that's one of the books I was going to ask you to do a reading on.
What's good? What's good?
We will
hold
shoot
on,
that.
Tyrone. Let
I was
Bakari
going
finish
to ask you to do that reading, that live reading on that book. That's a great book. But look, when he got back, you know, even with the military thing, I didn't say, talking about war. You know, they didn't want to give us. They wouldn't give black people guns. You know, in World War II. Like I said, my pops was there. They knew black folks would shoot back, right? So then I did a thing on my channel called Slavery in the Military. Because as you go up to around the Vietnam War, you heard a lot of black people talking about how they were put on the front. They were put on the front line. You know, they wanted to be the first ones, right? They wanted black folks to be the first ones to go. But that's what they did to you. That's what they did to what they would call a slave, right? So now, when we were talking about reparations, and you say, "How do you take it?" Then the lady showed you, well, they came and took it, right? But now we can sit back and we can wait and hope to people that you complain about being white supremacists, you're gonna complain about oppressing you and doing all that to you. You can sit back and wait and see if they're gonna do something for you if you want. That's not my goal. That's not my plan. It's time for us to start doing something for ourselves, right? For the ones that's not, it's time to start doing. Excuse me. It's time to start doing for self. It's just that simple. And either we're gonna step up and do what we're supposed to do, or we're gonna sit back and constantly complain about them doing what they do, right? So now when I hear people talk about the civil rights movement and you going up in time, right? You know, when they did the riot, I'm gonna talk about Detroit around that era, right? They asked Dr. King to say something. Dr. King say Dr. King said he didn't tell him to go out there. So therefore, you know, he can't stop it. He didn't do it. He can't stop it, right? Which I think was a great answer. I believe that was a great answer. And so with everything that we have gone through and for everything that we see right now, what's going on, it's up to us to change it. It's up to us to change who we are. It's up for us to get out here and build something and do something for ourselves. Or we can hold on to what they don't do for us. That's not my goal. That's not my dream to hold on what they have done to us. My thing is it's time for us to do something. I'm not saying they have never done nothing. We all know that they have. But we have to change the treatment. If we change our mind, we change our conditioning, right? But all of this, every time something come up, all of constantly, well, on here anyway, most of the time it's like constant back and forth over nothing. And people come around, that's what they want. But that's not what I'm about. That's not what we're about as Team Black. That's not what we're about as KWAZ Radio. We actually want to build and work towards something. So my suggestion is, like I say, it's time to organize, right? That's what we have to do. I'm not going to use the word we need unity because we have united somewhat. But it's time to organize. And once we organize, it's time to strategize. That's the only way we will ever get liberation. And we need to be prepared for whatever. That was the purpose of me playing the video yesterday with the Klansman. When he said, they send we on a powder keg, right? And I agree. We on a powder keg for waiting for a race war, and he's waiting. So I just ask people, who's getting ready, right? Who's getting ready? Who's prepared for whatever happened? So my thing, we talked when the pandemic happened. I heard a lot of people talking about, see, this is the pandemic. Look what they do. Yeah, okay. I look and I see what they do. I see what they did, right? So they did it, but what are we gonna do? The pandemic here now. We can call it a. We can call it a
pandemic.
You can call it that if you want, but it was still here. And our goal was to prove what they did to us, and look what they have done to us, and look what they still do to us. But we were not taking care of ourselves the way we supposed to. We can prove how bad they are. Don't nobody. You don't have to go through all that to prove what they have done and prove to show what they will continue to do. But once it's here, we're not in position. That's why when I asked that question, who did you feed? How many did you do that? You know how long I've been asking people, this is what we need to do, this is what we need to get prepared for. So then when something did happen, and a lot of people, some people I knew, they had nothing. But then they asked me, and I'm like, we have had this conversation on multiple occasions about, let's build a team. Let's get a rendezvous point. So when something do happen, we can help one another. I'm just being honest. I can't help you. I did go out because I was like, no, I closed the door. I closed the door. But I did go out and I did feed people. I gave people some of the necessities that they could not find. But it's time for us to come together as a team. So when something like that happen again, we can sit around and prove. We can make up we can follow all the white people conspiracies all we want. We can sit around and we can make up whatever it is we want to make up. But once the pandemic is here, we can call it pandemic, we can call it fake, we can call it make believe, you can call it whatever. But once it's here and you're in a position where you can't do nothing, where you can't take care of yourself, where you can't feed yourself, where you can't do nothing, proving how evil they are and what they do does nothing. It does nothing. So we have, instead of trying to prove that we are righteous and they're evil, and let's get on here and we're gonna talk bad and we're gonna have these conspiracies. No, let's put ourselves in position where we can take care of ourselves. So then at least when you're talking about the conspiracies, and at least when you're talking about how bad it is, you are in position, okay, people eating, people have the necessities, people have the things that they need to survive. But if we don't have that, there's no need to even talk about the other stuff. That was my point. That was my take. And some people got offended and got upset with me, and that was okay. And I still have that point right now. I'm not trying to prove no conspiracies. I'm not trying to prove none of that. What I'm trying to do is live. I'm trying to survive, and that's what I want Black people to do. And on that note, I'm gonna yield the mic. Peace and one love, man. Thank you for letting me speak. I'm making it.
Hey, Bakari, yeah, I
All
feel you.
right, Bakari.
Me and you taking
So,
out me and you been taking out reparations. We taking out 14.5% in tax-free stuff, right, Bakari?
I told you I want my stuff free, but
I got a question.
Go ahead, Tyron.
I got a question for Bakari and for Gab.
All right. It's
So,
going
how
Tyron,
can you
then
get your...
Go ahead,
Okay,
Tyron.
that was mighty long-winded of Bakari, but how can you get your apologies from Europeans if you're grifting and trying to uphold mythology like Gory Island? You see, according to articles,
I have no idea what you're talking
before
about.
the
So it
reset.
doesn't
Wait a
matter.
minute, because I'm gonna
I'm
walk you
asking you a
down.
question, then I'm answering
I'm
you.
gonna
You say,
walk
wait a
you
minute. It doesn't
down.
matter.
I'm gonna walk you down because I want you to look this shit up. I want you to look this shit up because niggas love holding on that Gory Island trauma
Hey, but
porn shit.
Tyron, hey, time out, y'all, because like,
Wait a minute.
but nobody know. Like, I don't know what Gory Island is, none of this stuff. But we was talking about reparations. You know what I'm saying? Like,
It's reparations, and this plays a part into why Pan Africans fumble the bag.
He's a nativist.
I ain't no damn nativist. I'm an indigenous individual.
That's nativist, right?
So explain to us, we're over here trying to get Black Americans on code with getting our restitution greater than a fucking slave ship mythology that we can tie ourselves into with our own fucking paper genealogy. So why in the fuck would niggas hold on to a Elmina Castle fantasy for their damn genealogy and you can't even back that shit up? And the experts, even the African experts and historians, admit that Gory Island was never a place that they brought Africans into. It was actually a mansion built for a mixed race woman by the name of Ann Pippin. Why are you holding on to myths?
Okay,
What's El Camino?
What we're talking about. See. That's what I'm talking about. These people come around for distraction.
Yeah,
No,
Tyron,
it's not a distraction. Why are
time out.
Pan-Africans so against the American Indian paradigm?
Well, Tyron, I think you missed the conversation.
You are Chinese. Your last name is Leung. You Chinese.
All right, I think you missed the conversation.
That's in my genealogy, but I can trace myself back to somewhere. You can't. You just assuming off of spit quantum and believe that it could teach you or show you something about your ancestry, which is only less than 1% accurate.
All right, Tyron, I think you kind of missed the conversation and what we're talking about. We're not talking about
No,
that.
it's relevant. It's totally relevant because
listen,
Pan-Africans are anti-reparations. They are capitalists. If I'm going to use your representative, Brandon, he said he don't want no damn reparations. He want to be self-sufficient, being a conservative pimp, using his pimp soliloquy, as Alcorn stated.
All right, hold on. Make sure I ask you a question, and then I wanted to ask you a question about the
What's the question?
What is you said Gory Island doesn't exist. Does
yeah, it's a fiction.
Listen to the question.
Does Elmina do the Elmina castles exist?
It's not a fucking castle, it's a mansion.
It was a mansion and it did house different soldiers and dignitaries, but it was a place of transformation. Does the Door of No Return exist?
It's fiction.
It's not a fiction. Are you
You
saying that you went there and are you saying that you went there and
are
you saying that you went there and you saw it and you don't believe
I don't
your
have
eyes?
to go there and see it. I can
okay,
from
you don't
experts.
have a passport. I'm gonna be quiet now.
This
Thank you. I'm done.
This is a usual deflection from people that's emotional rather than looking into the information that debunks it all.
Okay.
Just like the Senegalese story.
You gotta get
all right, Tyron. Let me ask you this, right? Because you said
you do know UNESCO invented it, right?
Now Harco is being quiet. Now Harco, you've been on topic the whole show. You know he's kind of off topic right now. You know what I'm saying? But let me ask you this, Tyron, right? Because you said you are against capitalism. Are you for like rebuilding Black Wall Street?
Yeah, indigenous Wall Street. Yes.
How do you do that? With how would you do that? Like, you don't think that's capitalism? Hello?
Explain that again.
Black Wall Street, you think we should rebuild it, right?
Absolutely. I said last
So,
time we met, I said a bit of both.
oh, so you're not against black capitalism then?
I'm against Pan-Africans taking advantage of Africans.
But you
That's
said
what I'm
capital.
against.
Okay, because you said
And
capitalism.
appropriating random cultures
I just wanted
that
to be clear
benefits
because
one sole person and not the people as a whole.
I just wanted to be clear because last time you said
That's the definition of capitalism. It only benefits one individual.
that's the definition of. Show me from your definition or just the definition.
That's the definition in general.
So if I look it up in the dictionary, it's gonna be like one person, whatever you just said.
Say that again.
All right, D-Web. All right, we got to move on to D-Web because I got to get out of here. I was supposed to get out of here at 12 o'clock. It's like 1:15. All right,
so we can continue this some other time on Alquan channel if you want to continue this.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a show tomorrow, but yeah, I'm gonna be out too because I'm falling asleep myself. So peace out to everybody, and including Intois
de Mela.
An assumed identity. All right, so peace out.
All right, so D-Web. He had to run up out of here as soon as Hardcore ran. He got to run behind Hardcore. All right, go ahead.
Man, I don't know how the hell you put up with that shit, bro. You way nicer than me, bro.
Man, it's just YouTube, bro. It's
I'm getting people out the paint. I ain't even give you no platform to spit that nonsense. Oh, what you talking reparations, then talking against capitalism?
Yeah, but then if you give him a chance to say that, then when people listen, because he just said he was for capitalism, because he stuttered and got clear, and they're like, "Well, it's about Pan-Africanism." He's for capitalism.
Yeah, that's
so
what they
like,
about, bro. We got to get them out the fucking paint, bro. They don't deserve any.
I think if you don't address what they say, people follow their, like, if you don't destroy talking points, I think it grow legs and people follow this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, you see, he wasn't really about what he was saying with the capitalism thing. He's just against a particular ideology with capitalism, not for him.
Nah, he's against Pan-African. He hates his African skin and he wants to be against anything that's black, period. That's what it's about. They don't even, the reparations are secondary to these people, man. Their big thing is, I was here, I ain't black, I was here since 1236. And they ain't got nothing to back it up. He was talking about you proving African. You can't prove no bro. You don't practice any indigenous customs. You ain't smoking the peyote. You ain't in the sweat lodge. You don't do anything related to what Native Americans are about. You know what I'm saying? So to me, it's the most asinine thing in the world, bro. You don't practice no culture. And not to mention, you can't trace none of your roots back. I guarantee you, pull up a family tree, bro. Let's see it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just it's just hate message, bro. It's literally a hate group. You know what I'm saying? So these people they need to be enemies, bro. We need to start banging on them. And I was trying to be neutral a long time ago. You know, I was trying to be neutral, but you can't be neutral with these people, bro. You can't be neutral with these people, bro. They only exist on the internet. You know what I'm saying? They only exist on the internet. But back to your point. You there, bro?
Yeah, I'm listening, my brother.
Yeah. So, but to me, man, I'm gonna get back to this right here real quick. I know y'all was talking about reparations, so let me get to the point real quick. There's no such thing as reparations, bro. The only thing begot blood is blood. Period, point blank. The only thing that exists is power dynamics. And they always cite people getting reparations. However, those people had something to give. Those people had something that these people wanted, which is why they looked in the capitalism system. They still have bases in Japan. They always support the Japanese. We have bases right now in 2022 in Japan. Okay, that's why they had to give it up. We have military operations in Israel. You know what I'm saying? So what are you going to do as a black person to get your reparations? What are you going to stop voting? Is that what you're going to do? It was like, what are you literally going to do? You do everything. You go to work. We go to work. You pay taxes. There's nothing. There's literally zero. And not to mention, they're begging politicians. Okay. You're begging politicians. Politicians only move according to the poll numbers. Reparations polls at between 66 and 75% negative last time I checked. You're not getting a politician to give you nothing. Now, if you're in a very blue area, they may give you some symbolism, some symbolic shit. You can go to college for free for 2 years. You can get the associate's degree. We'll put a park in Compton. You know what I'm saying? Something of that nature, but you're not getting no cash payments because it doesn't benefit them, right? And honestly, I've come to the point, and I agree with Bakari said earlier, yo. I'm like, if you're not talking action, I don't really give a fuck at this point. I'm tired of talking about getting our ass kicked every day. It's wearing on me. You know what I'm saying? Everything is the police shot. We've been talking about police shooting motherfuckers for 60 years. We've been talking about all these things for years. You know what I'm saying? Water, the water crisis. We've been having water crisis forever. We've been having everything crisis for forever. So unless somebody's calling me and saying like, yo, let's go here now, I really don't care at this point. You know what I'm saying? It's like Bakari says, it's all about organization at this point, you know? So if we're not speaking solutions at this point, personally, if I feel I'm not speaking a solution, if I present a problem and I'm not presenting a solution, I'm part of the problem. And that's where I'm kind of at. And that's all I'm gonna say. I ain't gonna take too much of your time. I know you gotta get out here, bro.
No, it's all good, yo. That's all you bringing the fire. I'm glad you came on here. This is your first time on here, so you know you could definitely go in. Yo, Bakari, you got any questions, bro? Bakari might be asleep now, y'all. I think he was trying to keep me up. But he might be...
Ask that again. I ain't sleep. Not yet. I was about to. I kept you up. I kept you up and fought my sleep off.
Nah, I say you got any more questions, Bakari?
No, I'm good. I'm glad D-Web came on here. Good to see you.
Now I'm about to keep you up, bro.
Hey, I ain't got to work. Yes, I do. Shit. Now I ain't going to work in the morning.
Well, I'm going anyway. So Bakari, so you are okay with reparations then?
Huh?
You do want reparations then?
No, you don't ever hear me talk about no reparations, my man.
I know, that's why I'm asking you. That's so you will talk about it.
No, I ain't worried about it. No, I ain't worried.
You
Look, man,
don't want reparations.
when we live in reality, you got to understand, Johnny and Billy is not giving you reparations.
You take it. So you wouldn't take it.
We are the reparations.
So you're not gonna take it?
Reparations. We are our reparations.
So you're not gonna take it. You're gonna be like, oh, they just got me. I'm gonna take this L. Oh, they just got me.
We are our reparations.
What?
We are our reparations.
Did we commit the crime against ourselves?
It don't make a difference. Well, like I said, blood debt's got to be paid with blood. If we ain't ready.
Oh yeah, I forgot. You do advocate for black on black crime. I forgot.
If we ain't ready to get down and take it, we might well like shit. You know what? We the resource. I keep saying that you look in the mirror, you see the resource. You look in the mirror, you see the reparation. We the greatest resource. We the greatest commodity ever imported in this country. Ever imported to this country. We are. So we the reparations.
That's not true, Tanzan.
We the reparations. Everybody get rich off us, then we say we ain't got no money.
So you agree? So you do agree with reparations, then?
I bet you can't tell Timmy Chong we ain't got no money, cause he down there cooking that fat. He got a store right now selling somebody some fried rat somewhere in the United States. Rat fried rice right now with the duck sauce.
Bakari, now you pulling the hard coal and Tyron talking about some extra stuff. I don't know what you talking about.
I answered your question about reparations. We the reparations.
You said so. You saying yes? You down for reparations?
Yes, as long as we give them to ourselves, because we are the reparation.
Did you commit the crime against yourself, my brother?
That had nothing to do with it.
All right. Matron, you can't keep saving Bakari. You gotta let him fall on his own, Matron.
I didn't even say anything. I said that there's not a price. There's not a price that they could give me to make reparation for what I know they did in my family and how they disrupted my bloodline. There's not a price. Okay. There's not a price for the brainwashing of my great, great, great grandmother thinking that her children might be free. And so she willingly went in there with that white man. There's not a price that they can pay for raping my great great grandma. There's not a price that they can pay for what I know they did to my people, and then disinheriting certain people in my family, and then trying to attack the land claim that my grandfather, who was a person that came up from South America, had acquired them. There's not a price that they can give me to make it okay. So, and they print the money anyway. So they set the value. That's something I don't control. There's not a price that they can give me to abdicate my power that I have, that I can cultivate a generation of people to have for self-determining behaviors and attitudes. It's just not a price.
I don't know, Matron. This is a price they could pay, all right. But we ain't gonna get into that, you know. But yo, definitely, I appreciate y'all for listening and for coming on here. You know what I'm saying? You know, Bakari, Matron can't save you, Tanzania can't save you. You know what I'm saying?
I don't need saving. You the one who need saving. I heard
Everybody, everybody feel
Matron
sorry
mention
for you.
scriptures earlier. I heard Matron mention scriptures earlier. I didn't even want to get on you about the scriptures, but since you still coming, when Matron talk about what the scriptures say, now the scripture.
Not the scripture, a scripture. Well, not even the scripture, a paragraph in a book somewhere.
The scriptures.
A paragraph, a line in a paragraph.
Matron be trying to help you. Matron be trying to help you talking about your forecast. You got
I got scriptures. I'm just talking about that line in that paragraph in that
you
book.
ain't got no scriptures. No. Matron was talking about the scriptures.
Nah, see, y'all gonna learn the hard way. I see. Exactly, Tanzan. They be trying to hate on me, Tanzan. But it's all good, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, Tanzan, I'm gonna let him get some rest.
Yeah, definitely. Cause like, you know, when I release my scriptures and Matron gonna help me with my scriptures, you know what I'm saying? So
exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yep.
Look at Matron say exactly. You know what Matron was saying to herself, right? Well, I'm gonna help him put something down, but there ain't no scriptures.
No, these will be, we have yet to write our holy scriptures, okay? We have yet to write the scriptures. We review other people's scriptures and I reference other people's scriptures because to me, every book is a testament of what can happen and what needs to go down. Every book got something in it that's useful. So, yes, I will help you write the scriptures forecast.
Okay, make sure these part of your scriptures. Praise the Lord and pass the ammunition.
Yeah,
Pass the ammunition. Yes.
See, Bukhari need the white man to call the scriptures, you know what I'm saying? That's the problem here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that white man is smart.
The white boy that, you know, that told us that we came here 50,000 years ago, of course. Harsh Reality Podcast, I appreciate you coming on. You could have stayed on too, my brother. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to wrap it up, but you know, you could have gave your last words. You know, this is your first time coming on. You definitely could have come on. Y'all subscribe to his channel, Matron, Bakari, even Hardcore, you know what I'm saying? Even though Hardcore keep putting up videos that he get cut on his own self for. I don't know why he keep putting up videos where he cut his own self on, but you know, it is what it is. But y'all subscribe to all of their channels, you know what I'm saying? All right, yeah, you can come on if you want, but we about to close out, you know what I'm saying, unless any of them got anything else to say. Okay, Learning Curve, you can give your closing statement.
I think that we have to recognize that these people view us as inhabitants and profit opportunities for them. We have to stop asking them to give us anything. In reality, we are our profit. We are our inheritance. If you didn't get a bunch of money coming down to you through your family lines and things like that, and you didn't get a bunch of resources from the people that you come from, it is your job to write your most empowering narrative and be the reparation for your generations, for your future generations, because nobody's going to do it for you. Nobody.
Yeah, definitely. Facts. And yo, Bakari, appreciate you for coming on into our Demela. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna see you at the store. We're gonna only spend 14.5% of our money. We good on our reparations, my brother. So you can go ahead and give your closing statements if you want.
He dozing off.
Yo, he didn't fall asleep that fast. See, Bakari trying to be hateful. See, that's what happened. God don't like ugly, matron. They gotta include that in the scripture. But yo, I gotta thank all of y'all for coming on here. You know what I'm saying? It was a great show. It went way too long. I was supposed to be asleep at like 12 o'clock. But I appreciate y'all, Tanzan. Thank you for staying on Harsh Reality. Thank you for coming on Raw. I appreciate you for not leaving. I understand, you know, when you do, but thank you for staying.
Hey, Forecast, let me say one more thing, man, before you go.
Yeah. Or if you didn't woke up, you didn't.
I'm gonna have to step away. It started raining real hard, man. I had left my dog outside. You know, I would leave him out there, but y'all be getting on me the way I raise dogs. So
yeah,
That's right. You got to feed them every day and take good care of them. That's right.
okay, well. But anyway, look, when y'all come through Sunday at the next episode of Mind Our Black Business, can y'all, if you can, bring one black-owned business in your area that you want to support, at least one that you want to support and promote, and put it in the chat. The name of it, the address, whatnot. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, absolutely. And I forgot to put everybody's channel in the chat. And Matron is live. Let them know Mondays at 8 o'clock. Let them know.
Yeah, I'm live Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. During this week, we're reading The Rebirth of African Civilization by Chancellor Williams.
Yes, and I forgot to put the channels in the chat. Tanzan is live Tuesdays at 6 o'clock, 6:30. Harsh Reality Podcast is gonna be live Sunday at 8 o'clock. Right, Monica?
Yeah, that's what time he goes live, and then sometimes he does a live Thursdays at 8 o'clock.
Yeah. And only at Sunday at 11 a.m. on East Coast time, 8 o'clock West Coast time. Bitter Medicine Podcast will be on tomorrow at 8 o'clock on the Shoot the Breeze on East Coast time. Me and Bakari is random. MV2 is random. My brother Guy is random. Am I missing anybody?
Guy.
Yeah, Guy is random. You was about to say something, Matron?
No, that was it. That y'all just random.
Yeah, we definitely random, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I definitely appreciate it. I meant to put everybody chat in there, but y'all subscribe to their channels anyway, because they definitely some geniuses. And I appreciate everybody who came on here, everybody for listening. And we definitely gonna take our reparations, you know what I'm saying, one way or another. They're gonna pay for the blood and all of that stuff that they have done. They're gonna pay, you know what I'm saying? Believe that. Whether it be tomorrow or 100 years from now, it is what it is. But you know, that's my mission. They're damn sure gonna pay. But as always, man, we have got to start standing for something, or we're gonna keep falling for anything.